I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I never liked him. I never liked him. I never racism. I'm a never Trump guy. Xenophobia. I'm a never Trump guy. Racism. I'm a never Trump guy. Xenophobia. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I never liked him.
Ooh, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Short. Hi, Fell. Hi, Rob. Sorry, Connor, back to bed with you. Come back in an hour. Okay, well, sorry, King. I gotta do stuff, so I'm gonna be hanging out with chat for the next few hours, working. Maybe we'll get into some content. Maybe we won't. Hey, good morning, Kasra. Good to see you. And let me just do an announcement in Discord real quick, just saying, hey. Live on Valor, come on in. The water is warm and I need people to fight in chat. Okay, so what I figured is we've done a lot this week. Patriarch says I'm here finally. Good morning, Patriarch. Good to see you. Christian Blair says good morning. Good morning to you. Rob says lo bueno. Bueno, indeed. So let me tell you what I feel like. There's obviously hyenas. Have you guys ever seen a hyena pack attacking the lone lion? That's what's happening to Hasan Piker right now, and I would be ecstatic to add into the dog pile. But the truth is that Hasan Piker is never going to truly be finished. As long as he continues to make content, he can whine, he can bitch, he can moan, he can become a lol cow, he can get dog piled by the left. But as long as he keeps making content, he's not fully disappearing. So me jumping into the hyena dog pack, ripping apart a lion it's not going to do anything. I did see Lonerbox join the fray. He has a little segment. We could probably cover that if we get bored. There's also who is it? Hutch is obviously making Hey While the Sun Shines. Pisco allegedly reacted to Hutch. And Christian Blair says, watch the VOD. I'm more receptive to Hutch's argument that leftists are too weak and competent to gain power, especially through violence. Yeah, sure. Do you think that a constant criticism of mine of the far left is that they're crabs in a bucket and that they're allergic to effectiveness. Okay. That's even my criticism of PV. That's my criticism of lefties when PV started. So PV, for those of you who don't know, was a Democrat, a progressive Democrat, to be clear, but a Democrat gave like $500,000 to Sandra Zmala. Don't know what the financial arrangements or the expectation sets were. But then Sandra Zmala said, hey, online politics has a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of money. How do we capitalize that and have real world results? Now, there were things that were effective and there were things that weren't effective. So the effective program was getting characters like Destiny and Vosh to motivate their audiences to do electoral canvassing events that generated hundreds of volunteers and tens of thousands of voter contacts. That was a mildly effective program. The most effective program was the canvassing houses, because the canvassing houses paid volunteers a per diem. So the canvassers didn't get paid. They were still volunteers, but they took off 6 months to a year of their lives. They lived in a house that was paid for, and they basically got their food paid for, but they weren't door dashing every single day. They had to like grocery shop, and then they just went out and canvassed for like 6 months to a year. Then there were also phone banking stuff that was kind of effective. So there were like 3 effective programs in PV that were like worthy of praise, not criticism. And then there was one ineffective program, which earned criticism, and I think rightfully so, but the criticism far outblew the actual thing that was going on, which was the creator program. The idea of the creator program was bringing in, because we were hoping that it was going to be like what do you do that? Like combined arms warfare, like a force multiplier. So what was going to happen is each individual creator on their own can only do so much. But if you have a whole bunch of creators together working together, then maybe not only would the audiences cross-pollinate, but we would be better at, like, the whole would be better than the sum of its parts, or some concept like that. And so as a result, like, they paid the creators too much because they paid them a monthly stipend instead of a per project stipend. And then the PV Spotlight, which was supposed to be a content aggregator site, because they couldn't get the digital media flow process down, PV Spotlight ended up being like a dead channel. So because they didn't understand how to create a content aggregator site, which, by the way, is tough. Valor Media Network has faced similar problems because content aggregator sites are not going to grow as fast as a single content creator with a pure vision of what they're trying to accomplish. So anyways, the point with that being that the lefties saying, like, I'm unaware that leftists are wildly ineffective. No, I'm quite aware, because effectively the leftists who became aware of PV were like, this is a DNC psyop in order to co-opt the alternative online media space and make it a democratic cheerleading space. And it's like, yeah, maybe to some degree, but there were still, like, wildly progressive people who argued with the DNC the entire time who were part of PV, including the people who ran PV. So yeah, like, don't just because somebody makes a point about, like, oh, lefties are wildly ineffective. You've heard me say that. I think you just hear them say that in opposition to what I'm saying. And you're like, Connor's never said that. And it's like, no, Connor definitely said that. I remember when I said that because I say that. Anyways, Fellrunner says, a man of principle. So man, Connor really is anti-pile. He won't even hop on the dog pile on Hasan, a man of principle. You know what's funny? I was just watching clips of Duncan Egg, a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and I was really sympathizing with Duncan because he's just like me in a lot of ways. He's an idiot who believes that people say what they mean and mean what they say, and he believes in the ideals that his lord showed him. And he's trapped in this world that just keeps beating the shit out of him for actually believing the words that were said by other people. And it's like no, I think it's noble. I think it's noble to watch him try to hold on the principles while the world is beating the shit out of him. I think that's like, it's like cute and entertaining and earnest and actually makes him like noble. And I'm nowhere near as noble as Duncan. Like, obviously, I think the way that I've said it, I'm a bad man trying to do good. But yeah. Sorry, I was watching Duncan Egg and Knight of the Seven Kingdoms clips right before I came on stream. So being a man of principle, getting your shit kicked in by the world is I identify with that. Beef Supreme says, you cannot fight me and win. I am the great Uncle Beef, the secretary of the gay state for the pile. I like that we have war cries for sex piles now. Christian Valera says, I agree that they could get stronger, similar to the Tea Party, because of collective disenfranchisement, but I fear the right more given their political power and willingness, effectiveness regarding political violence. Okay, well, let's break that down today. In order to get more political power, you need a strongman leader among the left that sticks to leftist ideology, which is unlikely. I agree with that. Conserve says, I still think Destiny not acting like the Epstein files is a nothing burger would be more electorally effective than all of the door knocking the creator program did combined. That's bullshit. I still think Destiny not acting like the Epstein files is a nothing burger. What, you think that Destiny acting like the Epstein files is a nothing burger is depressing Democratic voter turnout to the tune of 1.6 million voter contacts? Why do you think? I don't even think I don't even think Destiny's fans watch all of his content. I could probably be considered a fan of Destiny in that I liked a lot of his old debate content. I liked his Lauren Southern debates. I liked his N-word saga debate. I loved his Kyle Rittenhouse debate. I loved recently, I'm trying to think of stuff that I've liked from him. I've actually hated the entire Pierce Morgan arc. I've actually hated the entire, like, let me be an edgy boy for, attention online. I've hated that arc, but I've still watched it. And he's gotten some good dunks and some good elbows. So I would be considered a Destiny fan, and yet I don't watch Destiny content all the time, So I think thou dost presume too much about the nature of a Destiny fan. There are definitely Destiny fans who eat, breathe, and live and die by Destiny's word. There's 100% people who are just like psychotically devoted to the man, but that's not most of the audience base. Well, QC John says, good morning, girl hottest. May your girl stay hot. May your beer stay cold. And may you keep all your fingers from blowing things up. Amen. Amen. Kazir says, amen. Amen. Girl shallah. Good morning, all. I heard this was a call for fighting. It kind of is. Sup, y'all. Morning, Connor. Good morning to you. Nightingale Wing says, that show is goated. It's just cape shit based. I will fight with Sir Duncan. True. Short, Connor, did you see Christy Nome fired her pilot because he left her blankie behind and then realized she doesn't have any other pilots available, so she unfired him? No, but that's unsurprising. Christian Blair says, yes, I agree. You agree, but you still feel the left more than the right, even though you acknowledge the right have more power equals willingness to engage in politics, the far left out. It's a virtue signal about opinions. Okay, let's break that down because I need to show you what I want. Conserve says, I think he could get people off the couch. It's not about what Destiny does on his own channel. It's about what he says on other platforms. Yeah. Okay, I agree with that statement. Patriarch says, Arc Raiders is the worst content. It's not my favorite. I'll put it that way. Conserve says, I don't effing care what he does on his own channel, but he has the ear of normies when he goes on other stages. That's true. It's optics suicide. Yeah, but he does this thing where he does like the incredibly negative contrarian thing. So he gets negative attention and then he steelmans himself and pulls a victory from the jaws of defeat. That's been his strat for a long time. Yeah, I'm not talking about Destiny fans, to be honest. They'll eat out of his hand when he tells them to vote for the blue D when it matters. Sure. The rise of MAGA fascism hasn't produced current weather, underground, Symbionese Liberation Army, Black Liberation Army, Germany's KPD. Yes and no. I agree with you that it's probably nowhere near as extreme as the 60s or 70s. I do think that there's been like left-wing violence. Yeah, BLM, the Summer of Love. I know that's old reference. Old heads will appreciate the Summer of Love. Jen Winkler says, what's the other platform? I would say, when I say platform, I don't mean like YouTube, Kick, Twitch. I mean like Pierce Morgan's platform. You know what I'm saying? The Pierce Morgan platform, I think Destiny probably got a healthy chunk of like hate viewers and a healthy chunk of radicalized liberals and progressives to check his shit out. But I also think he came out as like an unhinged sociopath, which is fine. It's what he was going for. Azihaya says, Pam Bondi, most legendary crash out of all time. I could have asked her if Peter Thiel or Curtis Yarvin ever threatened her life. Yeah. Dude, even the rightoids are dunking on Pam Bondi right now for the stock market being over 50,000. They're like, you can molest kids as long as the stock market is over 50,000. And then it's like the stock market drops to 49,999. It's like, fuck, we gotta prosecute the pedos again. God damn it. Stock market dropped. Def good for YouTube content. Well, I guess not. He got demonetized. Maybe. Socialist communists forming a military resistance to the Trump admin would be peak irony. That's not what I'm worried about. The Summer of Rav. What? Why did you make it Asian? Why is the Summer of Rav Asian? What are you doing? Jen Winkler says, okay, I rewound to try to see what Destiny did. Now I don't see anything. I don't know what you're talking about specifically, Jen Winkler. We were not being specific. Christian Blair says, no, 2020 rioting was not really BLM violence, rather disenfranchised rioting due to systemic racism, historically similar to Watts. What? The BLM rioting had nothing to do with BLM. It was just a bunch of disenfranchised people of color who felt fucked over by the system. Why was that a sentence? Sen Patriarch says, I pray to God Bondi gets fired. She won't, because she's the one busy sweeping for the pedophile files. You understand that no matter how bad she fucks up, she won't get fired because she's the one who's sweeping. Do you understand that? Evan says, okay, what's going on? Well, I wanted to fight chat today, and chat's coming with it. Man Dude Project says, Bam Pondi might be the most surreal person I've ever met. I'll admit, saying you can molest kids as long as the stock market is high, that is a wild take. Christian Blair says, BLM were a bunch of soy Marxists, but they were not advocating political terrorism. Okay. I was given permission to fight. Yeah, I probably shouldn't complain. If I say mind mapping and fighting with chat, when my chat actually shows up spicy and starts fighting me, I probably shouldn't bitch. But you guys were kind of coming, guys are coming kind of hard. Guys are kind of coming hard for how little caffeine I have in my bloodstream right now. Wowman says unrelated, but I'm catching up on the Expanse videos via Counterpoint Sci-Fi, and I'm enjoying the bangers 07 King. Thanks, man. Thanks. The we should have at 11 a.m. There should be a Counterpoint Sci-Fi video available that will be the next episode of the Expanse. I am coming down on the destruction of Eros. I think I shot it. I just don't think I've edited it yet. Then once Eros is dead, it's not really dead. It crashed into Venus, but once Eros is crashed into Venus, then it's a little bit more of a nuanced story because I'm sorry if I'm doing spoilers, but Protogen falls into the background, but they're making protomolecule hybrids. And I need to get the lore down on those guys because I haven't read the books yet. And then, well, and I'm not going to read the books, I'm going to be real, but I need to check out the wikis on it because I'm a little bit confused. Okay. When I check out the lore for hybrids, which are basically humans infected with protomolecule, but they're trying to make super soldiers, they do kill people on behalf of the Protogen company when they're unleashed. They do have explosives in their chest and psychological implants that kind of allow Protogen to direct them. But then it also seems like the Protogen doesn't have full control of them. So whenever the hybrids get loose, they just kind of do whatever the fuck they want to do. They just start like murdering everybody. And because they're infecting people with protomolecule, it seems like they create a more aggressive vomit zombie. And so like I need to catch up on the mechanics of the hybrid protomolecule versus the original protomolecule to understand it. So, anyways. Daniel C says, I always come hard. True. So, Conserve says, clear the ban list if you want to fight. No, I'm good. Thanks. Unrelated, but I'm catching up on the Expanse. That's the one that expired that rant. You misunderstand. You acknowledge that BLM org spokespersons didn't advocate for political terrorism, extrajudicial murders, Weathermen, Black Liberation Army. It depends on which one you're talking about, because I'll agree they didn't advocate for those things. But I think the thing that ended up being most popular about the BLM organizations after the fact is fraud, where they took all the money, they paid all of their family members six figures, they bought expensive properties, and then they declared bankruptcy. Hilarious. Pizzato says Newsom is literally a woke techno derp, and he's not a fascist. He also didn't bend the knee to the radical left. I was going to bring that up. Like, abundance might be the synthesization. It might be the synthesis of what I'm looking for. Man Dude says, if you don't like fighting, you don't like learning. True. Pizarro says, JD is Gavin is clear for me. I want everyone from this admin gone from politics. True. Thomas Dudley says, would you say that chat is going to Goonopolis to Connor? Maybe. Short says, while most of the time I say it to break your balls, I truly don't believe Hunter Biden did anything corrupt in Ukraine. Okay, well, give me a fucking no-show job getting paid 50 grand a month so I can also not do corrupt stuff. Eben says, Hunter Biden is a better artist because he paints seriously, not just because he's a Biden. Bush painting equals Connor sleeps. Hunter Biden paints laptop, Hunter cock. Bush paints the portraits of dead veterans, and I don't even think he sells his paintings. I think he donates them to be sold for veteran charitable organizations because he already has money. Don't you think that's different than selling your paintings for millions of dollars? What the fuck are you talking about? God damn, Eben. Don't be coming after the Bushes like that. You know I'll sweep for the Bushes the way y'all sweep for the Bidens. Conservative liberalism says the stock market is Moloch, and the only way to keep it over 50K is to keep sacrificing children. MAGA needs to start selling red robes. God damn, that's spicy. That's a spicy meatball. Grassroots Connor said he worked people to fight in chat, so I'm the spirit. Instead of saying, good morning, my party people, I'm going to yell, all of you get off my... That's the vibe I'm feeling right now. Horse God says, chat is hands. We throw wild, untrained haymakers, but sometimes they connect. Yeah, that's happening. Eben says, all said with love. Love you too. Cosner says, I love Destiny. I got introduced to you, sir, through Destiny, but I would never become a dick sucker. Well, thanks. Man Dude Project says, wait, is he talking about real life? What did I miss? No, for a second, I was talking about The Expanse. Yo! Apparently every single one of my friends. So I got to hang out with Erudite and Nick last night. They were on their way to the Carolinas, wherever the UFA event is. But I didn't have the logistics or time or money to go to the UFA event, unfortunately. And so Destiny met Kyla and Nick in Orlando so they could take one car up. But Corbin Sales is also in the Carolinas, and he just met up with North. So if you're in the hold on, give me a second. I'm FaceTiming. Hey, wait, hold on. Hey, what time is it, Corbin Sales?
It is 10 o'clock.
So what am I doing, Corbin Sales?
Oh, are you saying my name?
Yes.
Right now?
I'm streaming right now. But anyways, all right. Hi, North. Yeah, you guys are making me jealous that I'm not there. I know. I just didn't have the time, money, or logistics. You know, this is a problem with having kids.
Yeah. Steven, say hi to Colin.
Hi, Steven. Hi, Steven. All right. All right. It's okay. Yes, love you. Bye. God. He always calls me between 9:30 and 2. He always calls me between 9:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. All right, conservatives, I want to see a bunch of MAGA robes around a giant owl statue chanting it's over 50K. Azia says, is this your nerdy Warhammer stuff? Cool. They should do Universes Beyond for Warhammer. I want to see the Ninja Turtles in your skirmishes. Weirdly enough, you would love my universal timeline. So, or unified timeline. So, Azia, answering you directly real quick. I got 3 breakdown channels now. 2 of them are newer. 1 of them is old. So Counterpoints 40K is older. It's doing okay, although that copyright, there was a copyright purge that happened over the past 2 weeks. That fucked me hard. It took away like 30% of my revenue and viewership because a third of my videos were inaccessible for 2 weeks. But it's coming back, so I'm not going to complain too much. So I won all my copyright disputes. So Counterpoints 40K is fine. Counterpoint Sci-Fi, I'm basically breaking down science fiction movies and TV shows in chronological order. So I'm doing Aliens, or I'm doing Predator, then I'm doing Aliens, or some of the alien stuff that lines up, and then I'm doing the proto-molecule from wherever, and The Thing, and then now I'm doing The Expanse, and then I'm going to be moving into the Aliens movies. So I'm basically doing sci-fi as if every science fiction movie and TV show was set in the same universe that I'm breaking down. And the channel has something called the Unified Timeline. I'm not going to have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, obviously. I think that's like too genre breaking to treat as if it was in the sci-fi universe, but I do have a lot of cool stuff that's all blended together. Christian Valera says, I would say that some BLM spokespersons' rhetoric was stochastic terrorism, but the violence was mostly unorganized destruction of property, not insurgency/asymmetrical warfare, which was what the Weathermen and Black Liberation Army engaged in. Sure, it's not as bad as the 60s and 70s. I agree with you statistically. Wow, man, so somebody called Doobie if we want to min-max the chat fighting. True, summon him. Jen Winkler says, Destiny is right that nothing will come out of the Epstein files. I would wait too until people sift through 3 million pages to find anything we're talking about. Yeah, that's a bold claim. Les Wexner or whatever is a potentially indictable co-conspirator, and Les Wexner worked with Jeffrey Epstein in reference to the Iran-Contra affair. That's fucking crazy. Oziana says, I want a Mark Kelly presidency. Me too. I just want Mark Kelly to become red-pilled on guns. So I understand his wife got shot, so the chances of that happening is very low, but we should probably talk about that. Matter of fact, Mark Kelly, please call me. Wow, man, says, genuine question. Would techno feudalists embrace the same flexible authoritarianism that fascists and commies do? Probably. Probably. So I need to break that down. Azia says, nah, I think we need to emphasize the presidency so we're not trying to elect a celebrity. Trump is in a activist president. Interesting. Grassroots with the 10. Thank you for kicking us off, King. Give me the one wrench to rule them all, and I'll fight the hell out of chat. Let's go. Yeah, but I think you'll kill too many. All right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, start shouting slurs. I should. Destiny definitely screwed Nick, and he's been preparing a soft landing for him. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think they had sex. That would be funny, though. That would be funny. Hi, North. Good to see you. Grassroots says, I have to be a lurker today, but I super secretly like you guys. You can hang out on my lawn. Thank you. Appreciate you, King. Did the copyright strike hit a bunch of other 40K creators? Yes. So it's lowering and raising the waterline eventually for everyone. So it was a targeted attack on your ship. No, it took out a lot of people. A lot of people got fucked. Some people got deleted. Death Lily says, did that politician reach back out to you? No, I don't have a response yet. Nick had sex with Benny Johnson. Silver says, good morning, sluts and cucks. Yes, good morning, good morning. Okay, let me pull it up and let's start fighting. It's going to be a true cog day probably, but I'm going to accept that fact because I think that we need to articulate some things that like my chat is not going to like, but it needs to be said. So we have like the politics. How should I draw this? Should I draw the crown? I think I should draw a crown. So the crown is representative of people. That's a terrible curved line. The crown is representative of who wields power. Okay. And so my contention is that whoever wields the crown, that is the direction that the Overton window shifts in, but it's not like a guaranteed thing. So, for instance, Donald Trump is currently wielding the crown and arguably has shifted the American zeitgeist more rightward. But also what's going on, similar to Bill Barr's famous quote about how if you like Donald Trump's policies, he's like the worst person to execute them. Fell, who says, are we finally, Wow Man says, are we finally moving past level 1? I'm going to find you guys and I'm going to stab you, okay? In real life. Yes, we're trying to get past a level 1 analysis. But we also have a series of political tribes. I mean, we have a ton of them, let's be real. We have a ton of political tribes who can influence society. And I think that dividing between left and right is fine, but you need to realize that not everybody actually shares the same ambitions. And so I would say these are the neocons. I would say these are the techno feudalists. I would say that there's the libertarians or fiscal conservatives. I would say that there's the social conservatives. And then I would say there's like the economic populist, right wing, whatever. And I'll label these in a second. But on the left, I would say that there's liberals. There's abundance liberals, who I would say are, let's just ballpark it. Then I would say that there's progressives. Then I would say that there's like Scandinavian socialists, and then there's like socialists and communists. So let's start labeling these a little bit. So the neoconservatives are going to be people like me and people like George Bush and people like Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney and Nikki Haley and all that kind of stuff. And the neocons are going to be liberal war hawks, liberal security hawks. They back the blue. They love cops. They love the military industrial complex. They love the military, but they largely defend the state. Then we got techno feudalists. And I would say that the techno feudalists want to deregulate everything so they can create their own like fiefdom. Then I would say that there's the social conservative right, who want to bully the gays and the transes and all that kind of stuff because they want to impose conservative religious values on society, even if they're not, even if they're hypocrites on an individual level. That's what they advocate for politically. There's fiscal conservatives / libertarians, and they just want the state to be smaller and they want to they want to pay less taxes. Then I would say there's like the working class right that is captured by Trump / econ populism / national conservatism. And I think they're getting played to some degree by economic populism and national conservatism, but you know, it is what it is. Who cares? I think they're largely rubes. I think they're getting played. I think they're getting fucked, but it is what it is. Then I would say there's abundance libs who understand that we need to unleash the next generation of economic productivity in order to make the world better. I would say there's brunch libs who are ignorant enough and neutral enough in order to just virtue signal about how liberal and tolerant they are. Then there's the progressives, who I would say typically are pretty woke on progressive issues, and they probably lean economically left, but they're not explicit socialists or communists. They're not smart enough to actually understand the economic stuff, or they're not well informed enough, I suppose. They could be smart enough. They just might not be well informed enough in order to advocate for specific left-wing economic models. They just vaguely think that they're good. And then there's social democrats who want the Scandinavian model. Scandinavian. Suck them Scandinavians. And then I would say there's actual socialists and communists. So the question is, who gets to wield power? That's the question. And I'll tell you right now, the way that I feel, the way that I'm analyzing things is that the United States is stagnant. For the people who actually watch, the people who actually watch The Expanse, you'll kind of understand what I'm saying, where Earth is, in The Expanse, there's three factions. There's Earth, there's Mars, and there's the Belt. And so the Belt is anarchic pioneers. They're the proletarian class. They don't have any real power besides their ability to fuck shit up in the supply chain. Okay. Then Mars are basically techno-feudalist bros. They're very, very small in population, but they're incredibly powerful. Okay. They're wildly powerful. Their ships are great. Their military technology is great. Their terraforming technology is great. They're really competent. They punch above their weight, but their population is super small. And so Earth is, and I think Earth is actually a perfect analog for the liberal democratic system that we have right now. Earth is wildly powerful, but it's incredibly stagnant. So for instance, it would take 2 or 3 Earth capital ships, because they have battles in the void. It would take 2 or 3 Earth capital ships in order to destroy a single Martian capital ship. But Earth has like 100 ships compared to Mars 1, right? So it's going to be bloody. It's going to be terrible. Earth will lose tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of souls in a slug out fight with Mars, but it's almost a statistical eventuality that they're going to win. And so that like analog for stagnant power, I think, is the way that liberalism is right now. It's a stagnant power. It's wildly powerful. It's a wildly powerful system. It incorporates a ton of different people. It incorporates a ton of different ideas. It's very economically vibrant. Like it produces a lot of wealth, I should say. But then the rules that have trapped it and the stagnation of its technology has limited its capacity to actually effectuate its desires. All right. So what's the comparison to our current political climate to The Expanse? Well, I mean, I think liberalism is actually Earth. I think techno-feudalism and abundance liberalism is Mars. And I think that the people who are social democratic Scandinavians or socialist communists and progressives, they're advocating for the Belt. Matter of fact, if you want me, I'll save this as a drawing, just as it is. Who wields power? And it's actually unsurprising to me that I sympathize the most with. It's actually funny that I really do sympathize with Mars the most. That's funny. That's actually really funny. So hold on. Let me do gray. Can I do gray? Is that gray? Can we see gray? Should I do a different color? What's a symbol of the proletarian masses? I don't want to do red because red is for Mars. Earth is going to have to be green. I'm going to do gray, even if it's not particularly visible, because gray is, you know, the rocks of the belt. So I'll put the belt. Then I will put Mars. Let's do a little box here. So abundance libs and techno feudalists, I would say, are Mars, but I actually wouldn't mind making an alliance between the abundance libs, the neocons, and the techno feudalists. And then I would say Earth is probably the entirety of the system. So I'll use green for that. So I'll put this. I know it's silly. I know it's not totally perfect one-to-one, but at the same time, I want to put, you know, I want to make it analogistic. I want to make it a decent analog for actually what's going on. So Mars. So here's my beef with the belt or the proletarians. Okay. My beef with the belt and the proletarians is, yeah, they're fucked over. They're 100% fucked over. It's undeniable. In the expanse, the belt is fucked over. In America, the working class is fucked over. I should probably just keep it to the real world. For the real world, as a matter of fact, I'm going to save this and then I'm going to back out my analogy to the expanse, because not everybody's going to know my analogy to the expanse, and I want to keep it understandable for people. Let's do expanse analog for power, and then can I do Control Z to remove that crap? Okay, perfect. So these are the options that we have, though, and I want to show the alliances as they presently exist. I'll keep red for MAGA. That makes sense. So the tech feudal lords have made an alliance with the fiscal conservative libertarians, the social conservatives, and the working class right that have been captured by MAGA in order to seize power. Right now, what's happening on the left, and the neocons have kind of been left out in the cold, which is sad, but it's true. Then the liberals are trying and failing to make an alliance between abundance liberals, brunch liberals, progressives, sock dems, and then there's this fight, I would say, where the socialists and communists, this is actually what Hutch is doing. Oh, you know what's funny? You know what's mad funny? Is the same way that the neocons are in rebellion, the socialists and the communists are in rebellion. I didn't even think of that. That's funny. That's mad funny. I'm going to make the neocons purple because purple is one of my favorite colors. And also purple is a mix of red and blue. So what's interesting is, let me see if I can do another one so it's more visible. So what's interesting is, as a neocon, I'm actually in one of the most like fucked political positions possible. Okay. I'm in one. Yeah, exactly. Eben, we're trying to trade the communists for the neocons. I would say abundance liberals are trying to trade the socialists and communists for the neocons, because they know if they got rid of the socialists and communists, but they took on the neocons, that would be a sufficiently powerful coalition and alliance that they would be able to win. And then you also get rid of dead weight, which are the socialists and communists. But the socialists and communists are in rebellion because they don't want to be fucked over and fucked out of the Overton window, which is why they're being so loud and so pissy. But what's going on too, I would say, is that the progressives and the social democratic Scandinavians and some of the brunch liberals have been infiltrated, infected. They've been co-opted. They've been recruited into saying, no, the socialists and the communists are a part of our coalition. Therefore, we need to continue to keep them as a part of the coalition. And actually, anybody who's trying to recruit neocons into our coalition is actually a traitor. Okay. And then what's funny is on the right wing, the neocons are already called traitors because they were the most critical of the techno-feudalist, social conservative, fiscal conservative, working class right wing alliance. They were the most critical of this because they don't trust the proletarian masses of the working class. They don't trust the social conservatives to not be insane. They don't trust the fiscal conservatives not to try to destroy the state. And they don't trust the techno-feudalists to not serve in their own self-interest rather than the general well-being of the nation state. Dana Calico Cloud says, to simplify, for the sake of pre-caffeine, which group, in your opinion, would you put a guy like Adam Kinzinger in? Neocon to lib pipeline, which is funny because like Adam Kinzinger is often cited as like the good Republican. He would be a neocon who did get successfully recruited into the liberal coalition. Who are currently in the neocon box? The father of neoconservative is a brunch liberal now. Yep. So I'll fully admit the reason why I'm constantly tempted to rebrand into a YouTube show called The Rhino, like the rhinoceros as a symbol, is because number one, rhino is used as an invective. Have I seen The Last Republican? No, I haven't. I'm sorry. I know everybody recommends it, but I haven't seen it. But the rhino, not only is the rhino an incredibly powerful animal, but it's also on the verge of extinction. It's an incredibly endangered animal. So rhino stands for Republican in name only, but I borderline want to adopt the rhino as a symbol and be like, I want to like turn it into a different acronym. So like Republican who has objectives, national priorities, and integrity, or something like that. You know, like make it a positive vision of what a Republican could be. Rhino, Republican who has, I'm going to write that down, even though it's not that great. We'll workshop it. Who has rhino, integrity, national objectives. You could just go it down to nationalism, but then nationalism gets jumpy for some people. Objectives and no. Republican who has integrity and national objectives. That's perfect. That's perfect. Damn, I already workshopped it. If somebody comes up with something better, let me know. But I actually think that that's okay. A Republican who has integrity and national objectives. Damn. So part of the reason why I legitimately would want to rebrand to a rhino is because I do want to be a Republican who has integrity and national objectives. I do want to be a Republican who calls out the fact that the Republican Party has swept for a pedophilic sex ring, that has sold its soul to a fucking cultist, that has gutted the social safety nets and the infrastructure of this country in the name of self-wealth. I do want to be that guy. And so, dude, I want to be a fucking rhino. Are you shitting me? Damn. I want to be a rhino, motherfucker. I want to be a rhino so fucking bad. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know how bad. I wish I could take this brand and shove it into the fucking American zeitgeist. This is a failed project, at least under Trump, is no longer a kingmaker. Yeah. Well, you say that it's a failed project, and yet the alliance on the right wing is exploding and imploding under the weight of its own hypocrisy. So it's not that the rhinos succeeded. It's not that the neocons and the moderate conservatives, it's not that they succeeded in their mission objective of trying to take down Trump. It didn't work. But what ended up happening was the things that they were bitching about, like the internal inconsistency, the fake Christianity, the fiscal conservatism that actually like destroys lives, it doesn't make them richer, the techno feudalism that's so incredibly self-interested, the working class right that has been led by the nose into economic disaster. So that has totally just absolutely fucking annihilated the right wing. So the neocons were right. They just didn't have a big enough impact in order to do anything about it. So anyways, so the question is, what do we want to do? Okay? Because the truth is that what Pisco is saying where he's really uncomfortable with a JD Vance presidency. The reason why he's uncomfortable with the JD Vance presidency is because he thinks that this nefarious alliance, that JD Vance is representative of the worst of the, excuse me, he's representative of the worst parts of the techno feudal alliance, right? Give me 1 second. I need to sneeze. Also, quick chill. Thank you to Grassroots for kicking us off. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. Today, we'll probably do some content because I don't think I'm going to take forever in order to articulate this. But, excuse me. But I want this to be a true cog day. I want you to see what I see, even if you don't agree with me. Okay. So, we got the neocons, the techno-feudalists, the libertarians, the fiscal conservatives, the social conservatives, and the working class right. And what Pisco is worried about is that JD Vance is the worst example of this because he's a person who sold his soul in order to get power. He has simped for the Trump administration long after it became immoral to do so. And so whatever messaging that he comes up with in the next election cycle, where he's like, I'm a man of the people, and I'm going to protect the economy of the United States through economic protectionism, and I'm going to continue the job of bringing jobs back to America, and I'm going to, defend against the drugs and crime and horror that is being mass imported by the left, and I'm going to unleash the tech sector in order to usher in the next generation of American wealth, and blah, 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 blah. Whatever he comes up with, I actually trust JD Vance to be less of a fucking moron than Donald Trump. But whatever he comes up with, it's probably going to appeal to me rhetorically. But that's the problem with republicanism. They use rhetoric that appeals to my sensibilities, but when they get into office, what they really do is military adventurism and tax cuts, right? That's what Republicans are best known for the past 50 years is tax cuts and military adventurism and reckless spending for military adventurism, right? So what Pisco is saying is not only do you hate MAGA, but Trump, Vance is the worst aspects of MAGA on steroids, and whatever rhetoric he comes up with in order to appeal to you in the mainstream election, it's all going to be bullshit. Because he's such a chameleon that whatever rhetoric he uses in the mainstream is just going to be a smokescreen so he can further deregulate the tech sector in order to, please his backers. In order to please his backers in the in San Francisco. Sorry for making weird noises, but I knew there was dead air, and I didn't just want to leave you with dead air, so I made a weird noise. Anyways, so that's what Pisco is saying, and Pisco is correct, okay? Pisco is fundamentally correct, and I'm actually going to write down Pisco's argument. That way, if he complains to me, he's like, I don't know why you continue to resist the arguments that I'm saying. It's like, no. I understand the arguments perfectly. Not only do I understand the arguments perfectly, I'm going to write them out. That way, Pisco cannot say I misunderstand him. I don't misunderstand him. JD Vance is the worst part of MAGA because he gutted our technocratic elite, causing hundreds of thousands, or well, I'll just say millions of deaths, millions of unnecessary deaths. He covered up a sex trafficking ring. Any rhetoric he engages in to that is appealing in the general election is a smokescreen to further economic protectionism and techno-feudalist elites. Okay? This is Pisco's argument. And I agree with it. I think it's true. I think that he could run a perfect campaign, both in technocratic jargon and in rhetoric that appeals to my sensibilities, And this statement will be true. Okay. So for those of the people who are in my chat who are like, wow, I can't believe Connor says he's still considering like a techno feudal shill. You know, I can't believe that he says that. You know, that's fucking crazy because, you know, can't he see how bad these people are? And it's like, yes, I see how bad these people are. So Pisco power map. Okay. And I'm going to do the Connor ideal. So let me pull these things out that I just did. Okay. So I think you guys know that I'm pretty centrist. Okay. I'm pretty centrist. I don't hate the gays. I don't hate the blacks. I don't hate the Jews. I don't even hate the Muslims. I don't hate most people. I actually want most people to do well. Okay. And so what I would like to see, because I'm in this like weird center right, incredibly small purple position, there are things to do that the techno feudalists are right about. Okay. Politics JK says half the libs want neocons, none of the right wants neocons. JD doesn't want neocons. True. Okay. So, but the truth is, I want what's best for America. I want what's best for the proletarian masses. I want what's best for the techno-feudal lords. I want what's best for the progressives and the brunch libs and the abundance libs and the fiscal conservatives, even though I think they're retarded sometimes. Sorry for the ableist slur. And the working class. I do. But what I want is a balance of all of the priorities of said groups, right? So what I would say is I would take a portion of social democratic policy to incorporate into my ideal technocratic platform. Okay. I would take a portion of progressive technocratic policy that actually makes the world a better place. I would take whatever brunch libs wanted to come along for the political adventure, I would love to take a portion of. But I think brunch libs are like too rich and disaffected in order to actually give a shit about what's going on. So I'm not like really confident about the brunch libs. Okay. How the hell do you create a centrist populist? We need a centrist, but only populists are popular right now. I know. Trust me. I know I'm on a fool's errand. Okay. I'm very much like Sir Duncan the Tall from the Game of Thrones TV show. I'm believing in words and principles that will probably ultimately end in my death or extreme frustration. Then I would take all of the abundance libs. Okay. I'm not kidding. I would take all of the abundance libs because I think the abundance libs, while a lot of people, a lot of lefties say that the abundance liberals are, they're effectively technocratic fools. Okay. They think that they can take the techno-futurism of the techno-feudalists and they can deregulate where it needs to be deregulated, and they can design the next generation of infrastructure that is going to usher in a new, like, wealthy, abundant America. Okay. And I think that not only is that a noble aspiration, I think that's the direction we need to go. Okay. But the truth is that a lot of abundance liberals and a lot of the left in general, they fucking hate techno-feudal lords. They hate them with their whole fucking body. Okay? They don't trust them. They don't like them. They think they're, you know, Saturday morning cartoon villains and all that kind of shit. But the truth is that y'all need some of the techno-feudalist shit. Y'all need electric cars. Y'all need aggressive public-private partnerships in order to create the next generation of large infrastructure projects that are going to revolutionize the way that people travel and work inside the United States. Y'all need, arguably, Samson's like, no. Samson, I heard your no in Eric Cartman's voice. I heard no. And by the way, the Social Democrats and the socialists, they need technological innovation in order to achieve their shit. Okay. I've told you, socialism, in my opinion, the decommodification of basic human needs and workers owning the means of production. Okay. Socialism, the decommodification of basic human needs only happens when we eliminate the need for human labor. Okay. And the only way that we eliminate the need for human labor is through an army of Boston Dynamics robots that replace human labor. But there's a limiting factor, okay? There's a limiting factor on the army of Boston Dynamics robots, and that's rare earth minerals and metals, okay? And the truth is that rare earth minerals are rare on planet Earth, and therefore we do not have the mineral capacity or the metallurgical capacity in order to create the race of almost sentient robots who replace human labor. We do have the ability, we do have enough inventory to create those things only for the ultra rich, but we do not have that for the masses. If you want that for the masses, you have to mine space. Okay? You have to mine space. And I know that seems like a pipe dream to you. I know it seems absurd to you. I know that half of you just checked out as soon as I said that. But what I'm telling you is that a single, yes, they are Harstar, a single asteroid contains so much material wealth that a single asteroid with the right elements contains trillions of dollars of minerals. Trillions of dollars of minerals. And by the way, I already know the proportions. I already know the proportions are like less than 0.5% of asteroid material, because a majority of asteroid material is non-usable. A majority of asteroid material is not usable at all, because it's just like rock. It's just like carbon. You know, some of them have like deep metal reserves. Some of them have like rare mineral reserves, but those are the exception, not the rule. Okay. So anyways, the point is that having Mars, you don't need to populate Mars. I know this is a pipe dream. Follow me down on my pipe dream. Okay. I know it's a pipe dream. Okay. So I know it's a pipe dream. Just follow me down this shit. Okay. If you want socialism, which I think is utopian and insane, and I think that we're always going to need human labor, but if you want socialism, we need to automate human labor. If you want to automate human labor, you need an incredible amount of rare earth minerals, an incredible amount of metal. Okay. And what you could do, Azihaya is already with me, is instead of worrying about colonizing Mars with humans, there's all sorts of health problems associated with that. If you go to Mars, it's 1/3 of Earth's gravity. Your bones are going to become brittle. Your blood pressure is going to be weird. Your blood pressure and your bones, when you come back to Earth, you're going to have like severe cardiovascular and structural issues and like osteoporosis that's going to fuck with you. Okay. Why bring Fast and Bulbous says, why don't we bring back child labor? I mean, realistically, that would solve the same problem, but you sound like a fiscal conservative right now, Fast and Bulbous. You sound like a libertarian. Child labor would solve a lot of our problems, but you know, child labor itself is a problem. I know you're fucking with me, but still. Okay. Yes. And Harstar says that's a one-way trip for a while. I agree with you that that's probably a one-way trip in general. Okay. Going to Mars, if you go to Mars, you probably die on Mars. Let's just be real. Okay. So Mars doesn't need a huge population. What it could have, though, is it could have a population of almost sentient robots that are commandable from Earth. And I know there's like a time window and there's a time delay, and the time delay expands during certain parts of the year. And I know the challenges with the Mars robots. I understand all of those things. Okay. I just need you to follow me on the dream for a little bit longer. Okay. So the point is that if you go to the belt, you use LiDAR, radar, sampling technology, all that kind of stuff in order to find the pieces of rock that you think are the best rocks. then you could either blow them up in the belt in order to break them into chunks that were movable, because a lot of these things are fucking huge, like unimaginably huge, or you drag them to Mars orbit and then you chip them apart in Mars orbit. Okay. And that's the thing. Some of y'all have totally checked out. You don't even give a fuck about what I'm talking about in reference to like space mining. But the truth is that in reference to that effort, as utopian as my vision is of like deep space mining, I think socialism is more utopian than my plans to space mine. Okay. I straight up think that my orbital space mining will happen before socialism happens. Okay. The pure decommodification of basic human need. Like that will not happen until my shit happens. Okay. I'm going to address something real quick and then I'm going to keep it moving. Thomas Dudley says, rare earth minerals, Cotter, we have a lot of them in the US. It's just that we have too many regulations on the way we would mine and process them, so we need to deregulate. Well, guess what? That is another reason why I think abundance libs are based. Okay. So anyways, let's build the ideal counterpoints coalition. Okay. And let me tell you what I would do, which weirdly enough, this entire drawing has shown that I am like the ultimate centrist. That's what this thing has said. Let's do here, and then let's do, I don't know, this. I could erase this part, but let's, who cares for now? So let me tell you what I would take from each political faction. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please consult your screen. I got neoconservatives, fiscal conservatives, techno-feudalists, social conservatives, the working class right, progressive, social democrats, socialists, brunch libs, and abundance libs. Okay, I got all this stuff. So let me tell you what I would take from each group. So for social democratic Scandinavians, I think what they're good at is designing technocratic policy that actually improves the living conditions and dignity of the working class. So I would want to steal that from the social democrats. For the progressives, I would probably just want to steal, don't be a dickhead, right? Don't be transphobic, Islamophobic, homophobic, racist, whatever. You know, you can be the funny versions of those things, you know, like you can make weird sex jokes to your passoid trans friend. You can say weirdly racist jokes about like black people not having fathers, as long as the black guy you're hanging out with actually thinks it's funny. You know, we can still be dickheads, but we should still love each other, right? Then from the brunch libs, I would say I actually would want to steal their sense of leisure, their sense of, I work hard, therefore I'm going to enjoy my life. I would steal that from the brunch libs, because I think the brunch libs actually, like, oftentimes they're so materially wealthy, they don't realize how dire the socioeconomic situation is of the proletarian masses. But I do think that once you hit a certain amount of wealth, you should probably enjoy your life a little bit, because as far as we know, we only get, you know, this shot. So you should probably enjoy a little bit of leisure from the leisure class, right? Then abundance libs, I want to steal their whole shit. I wish I could steal their whole shit. There are probably abundance libs who have wildly stupid policies to suggest, but there's probably plenty of abundance libs who actually have projects that I'm like, if I had the capacity to throw my whole ass into this project, I would throw my whole ass into this project. Like nationwide high-speed rail with vehicle transport capacity, and also like electric vehicles with the electric vehicle infrastructure in order to make the carbon emissions from the transportation industry reduced by 80%, 90%. I'm down with that shit. I think that's so fucking based. I think that's so amazing. So I would actually just straight up steal the abundance lib platform. For the neocons, I would obviously steal like kind of the liberal war hawk, right? Like liberal democracy and republicanism is based. Therefore, if you try to fuck with mixed economy capitalist liberal democratic states, we're going to fucking hit you with like stealth bombers. That's what I want from the neocons. The fiscal conservatives, I just want the state not to collapse from too much taxation and too much spending. For the working class, I just want to advocate on their behalf. That way they have dignified lives. For the social conservatives, I think you should be a gooner when you're young. I think ultimately, though, like family, responsibility, community, relationships, those are all good things. I also think aspiring, like you can fail in your principles and values, but you should at least have principles and values that you aspire to. And then for the techno feudalists, I just want to harness their technology, right? I just want to harness their technology. If Elon Musk is a horrible human being, if he's a total piece of shit, but he builds the spatial lifting capacity to get us to Mars and to start the mining project, I don't give a fuck if he's a piece of shit. If Peter Thiel ushers in the next generation of iterative AI and it doesn't destroy the planet, but instead it creates the breaking of the bottleneck of technology to the point that not only do we expand the amount of technologies that we can develop due to AI, but we also increase the speed and reliability that we're able to mature those technologies, then yeah, let's do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the techno-feudalists, where I disagree with the techno-feudalists is the techno-feudalists don't want to be accountable to a state. They don't want to be accountable to a government. Right? They don't want to be accountable to a people. They want to treat their people, they want to treat their employees like feudal serfs serving them. And then they don't want the state to come in and tell them that they're treating their serfs incorrectly. And I think that's fucking evil. I think the great man, Yarvanite, neo-monarchical philosophy shit is fucking cringe. I think it's a fucking LARP. Right? So anyways, the point is that what I'm trying to tell Pisco is that I will vote for whoever serves this centrist agenda of getting the average person enough leisure that they can enjoy their lives, unlocking infrastructure projects that make America great again, actually, technocratic policies that increase the dignity of the working class, that are like fun racist, not racist, fun racist. Fun racist, fun sexist, fun homophobic, but not actually racist, homophobic, whatever. Actually serving the needs of the proletarian masses, defending mixed economy capitalism and republicanism when it needs it, not capsizing the state through reckless spending and debt, unlocking the next technologies that make all of this possible, and then failing to live a virtuous life, but aspiring to live a virtuous life. And then also, even though the, right-wing working class or whatever are retarded, also serving their needs and interests, because the truth is that they're human beings and they're deserving of dignity and respect as well. So the truth is, like, I want responsible governance across the fucking gamut. I want responsible governance across the fucking gamut, and each faction has I'm ranting myself into a bloody nose. So if I really start spurting blood out of my nose while I'm ranting about governance, then my apologies. But I used to do this with my friends. I used to do this, like, unironically, I would go on a rant exactly like this, and I would just rant like this with my friends until my nose bled. So congratulations. You're getting like an old school Connor rant. So the point is, this is what I want. I want each faction not to seize political power, but I want the best of each faction to inform policy. And so whatever leader informs this incredibly nuanced technocratic plan, that's what I want. And if there's a Republican who can offer me a majority of this plan, then I'll do it. If there's a Democrat who can offer me a majority of this plan, then I'll do it. Okay? And I'm going to save this real quick as like Connor's ideal governance. Connor's ideal governance. And so it really would be like a marriage from the abundance libs and neocons. This is the community of Grill Hottest, by the way. The abundance libs and the neocons and some conservatarians coming into a coalition through which to guide the rest of society. This is actually the coalition of Grill Hottest. This is the cog, right? Christian Blair says, okay, I'm doubling down and Connor just needs to become an abundance lib. If the abundance libs want to like guns and being mildly racist, okay, let's do it. But you know, we need to keep like, I'll put like neocon abundance lib. You know what I'm saying? Like I need people to know that I still want to shoot people in the face, right? Like, because abundance lib oftentimes has this like effeminate Ezra Klein, like soft-spoken NPR ASMR fucking vibe to it. And like, it needs to be like that, but also I'll shoot you in the face. You know? So anyways, walk softly. Wait, what is it? Talk softly and carry a big stick, or is it walk softly and carry a big stick? That. Okay. Anyways, so this is my ideal. Now let me show you why I get frustrated. So I'll return to this picture and I'll open it up again. But I'm going to show you why I get frustrated. Because when I talk to the social conservatives, who I agree with on a very little bit, and the fiscal conservatives, who I agree with on a little bit, and the working class right, who I agree with on a little bit, and the techno feudalists, who I agree with on a little bit, okay? Walk with a big stick and talk loudly. So the point is that when I talk to the right wing, the social conservative, like I said, I agree with everybody on the best parts of their ideologies, and I disagree with them on the worst parts of their ideologies, right? But when I talk to the right, what the right says is that the progressives, the liberals, the brunch liberals, the socialists, the communists, all that kind of stuff, is they are sexual, social, fucking degenerates who cannot tolerate anybody ideologically outside of their own space. And therefore, they actually hate your guts for even being friendly to techno-feudalists or social conservatives or fiscal conservatives or the right-wing working class. And so as a result, fuck them, come to our coalition, because our coalition is winning. The MAGA coalition is winning. We got the techno-feudalists who are going to usher in the next generation of, you know, advanced technology that's going to revolutionize the world. We got the social conservatives who are actually reinforcing value in the world. We got the fiscal conservatives who are going to like slash the stupid fucking social programs that are spending way too much money and the taxes that you have to pay. We got the right-wing working class, which, let's be real, in a apocalyptic scenario, the working class right is tough enough to survive an apocalyptic scenario. And in an apocalyptic scenario, they would eat their working class neighbors from the left. They would kill them and eat them and fillet them, because the right wing working class is actually pretty socially and physically robust. And so as a result, you know, we're going to win. So come on to the right wing, become a part of the coalition. Fuck all those soy libs. They hate your guts anyways. Okay. And then I go to the left, and with the left, what they say is, oh, the techno-feudalists are gutting the state. They're destroying the state. They're making it so only they have wealth and power. The social conservatives are becoming authoritarian. They unapologetically want to force everyone into their virtuous life. Meanwhile, they're some of the biggest hypocrites on the fucking planet. Just last week, Sarah Stock, an avowed traditional conservative who saved herself for marriage, was caught having an affair with Elijah Schaffer, a social conservative traditionalist who fucking claims that he's like serving the white race, and they fucking had an illicit affair with each other for like 2 fucking years while they were doing cocaine. Like, fuck these people. They're total hypocrites and pieces of shit, right? And then fiscal conservatives, they're like, libertarians don't know shit and they want to fuck 15-year-olds. Basically, the libertarians who actually care about age of consent, they want to make what Jeffrey Epstein did legal, right? And then the working class right, yeah, they might be more physically robust than us, but they're fucking retarded. Like sorry for the ableist slur, but they're dumb as fuck. So they point the finger and they say, the right wing is currently destroying our opportunity to usher in everything that you want. Therefore, fuck them, join us. Okay? Then when I look at the left, we have 2 kinds of liberals. Okay? I think that, well, we have a whole bunch of different kinds of liberals and leftists, but let's talk about it. We got Hutch, who I love, who had, I mean, I didn't love him 48 hours ago, but I love him now. Okay? We have Hutch, who says, yeah, man, there's really cool parts about abundance. There's really cool part about the brunch libs. There's some aspects of the progressive shit that I like, but I'm going to cut them off when they're being too extreme. There's some social democratic policies that I support. Then there's some things that I think are stupid. There's socialist communist policies, realistically social democratic policies that I support. But I've made it a huge part of my platform to bully the fuck out of the socialists and communists because they're dumbasses who want to take over the whole party. We're not all crazy. Come join us. And I'm like, that's pretty fucking attractive. But you guys are pussies about guns. You're pussies about war. You're pussies about police forces. And so while I'll help you in your political project, because I do think the right wing is fucking more shit up right now, I am not one of you. Or if you want me to be on your team, you need to become more like me. Okay, Hutch has a gun. Yeah, I know. Maybe he's drifting my way. Maybe he's becoming more like me, which is good. Maybe that's why I love him. Maybe that's why my opinion of him has changed in the past 24 to 48 hours, is because Hutch took a big step in my direction. Maybe that's why I'm so white-pilled on Hutch right now. Okay, I will wrap up this rant in a second, but I feel like the flow. You guys are going to see what I'm saying. But while I'm talking to Hutch, I could 100% ally with Hutch. If the liberals were willing to become more pro-gun, more militant, more defending of American liberal hegemony worldwide, if they were willing to consider fiscal conservative, social conservative, techno-feudalist arguments in order to advance their own agenda, that's the kind of nuance that I would want to see, right? And so there's liberals that I'll 100% work with. But there's also liberals that I think are useful idiots. And Pisco, I've said this to his face, so I don't feel like I'm being particularly rude, but Pisco does not trust me. He does not like me. Well, he might like me on a personal level, but he doesn't like my politics, right? Because whenever he sees me steel manning fiscal conservatives, social conservatives, the right-wing working class, and techno-feudalists, he's like, oh, you must be one of them because you understand and regurgitate their strongest arguments. Therefore, you must be one of them. And then not just that, but you have said that if you don't get your way in reference to a few things, then you're not a reliable ally, which is true. That is true. If the left goes too far, I will not vote for it. If you guys take a socialist who advocates for social democratic policies, but they're really hiding their power level, that would be pretty much, in my opinion, similar to me like plugging my nose and voting for JD Vance. You're not actually, you might get some social democratic policies done. You might get some progressive policies done. You might even get some abundance policies done. But the truth is, you're effectively voting for the biggest piece of shit in your coalition. Okay? And so for me, I think I showed you my ideal. Pisco's coalition. What color is a Pisco sour? What color is Pisco's emblem? Fuck it. I'll just do P. I'll do yellow. The color of piss. I'll make it orange. That way it looks like he's dehydrated. So Pisco's coalition, in my opinion, is down here. Okay, the piss coalition. And the piss coalition is largely accepting, right? Largely accepting of a lot of liberal ideas, but they're also very accepting of progressive ideas, including some of the bad ones. They'll also wildly accept the social democratic program because ideally they think that our society is too anarchic and too capitalistic in order to do it. And so so they want to balance it out with some welfare programs, but then they'll tolerate or even platform or even popularize socialists and communists, I think, to the country's detriment. I think not. I think being friendly to Hasan's ideas and Hasan's ilk is actually something that makes the world a worse place. So let's say that this is the PISS coalition. Okay. Now, with Hutchinson, Hutchinson, his coalition is he wants the abundance libs, the brunch libs, some of the progressives. Let's go ahead and do that. Then he'll take some social democratic policies as long as they're good, but he fucking hates socialists and communists. Fucking hates them. Fucking hates them with his whole body, which is amazing to me. It makes me so white-pilled on Hutch. Hutch's coalition. Okay? That's it. That's his political coalition. That's what he fights for. Okay? So once again, I've showed you the model of what I want. And so when Pisco says, hey, come down into my coalition, I'm like, no, your coalition's too broad and it incorporates too many terrible people. I'm not joining the Pisco coalition. And then Hutch says, hey, come join my coalition because it's actually mostly the same people. It's like the same progressive, the same brunch libs, the same abundance libs. And I'm like, I will join you if you become more hawkish and more pro-gun. Now, I don't have a lot of political leverage, right? Once again, I am in my little small center-right tribe that has largely been made politically irrelevant by the cult of Trump. I don't have a lot of political leverage. But what I want to do is I want to make arguments that people consistently find to be truthful, so they do come my way. They're not coming my way because they need some political advantage from me, because I don't have a political advantage to offer them. My current political position involving like nuance and technocratic policy and steel manning all of my opponents and taking their best arguments and trying to integrate them into a single unified vision, that's not a winning idea. It's not a winning idea. I do not have political leverage to offer these people. I don't have 25,000 fucking live viewers. Okay. All I have is the way I see the world and the way I make my arguments and try to make them as compelling, interesting, or at least funny as I can. That's what I have. And so I'm going to go back a little bit just because the MAGA right wing is telling me, hey, come our way. And I'm saying, no, you guys have voted in a fucking cult. And then I can join Hutch's coalition, but I'm going to push him on the things that I believe. And I'm going to invite as many right-wingers along with me as I possibly can. And then with Pisco's coalition, I'm not joining that, right? Because I will not be in a coalition with socialists and communists who are hiding their power level. You know what I'm saying? So let me save this as the Hutch versus Pisco coalition. Hutch versus Pisco coalition. I'm going to show you guys my map again of who I want. And I'm going to show you what I would like to do in an ideal world. So I want to serve the people, but the people are stupid. You know, imagine that quote from that one guy who's like, democracy is a government of, for, and by the people, but the people are retarded. Like, that's actually me. That's what I believe. Okay. I'll take social democratic policies as long as social democratic policies actually make sense. I would happily join the abundance liberals if they stop being pussies. I would take the leisure class attitudes of the brunch liberals that life is meant to be enjoyed. You're not supposed to work yourself into an early grave. You're actually supposed to enjoy the wealth that you generate. For the progressives, I want to be fun racist. Okay. So we shouldn't be actually racist. We shouldn't be actually homophobic. We shouldn't be actually transphobic, but we should be like fun homophobic, fun transphobic, fun racist. Okay. So the general idea of progressives to not be dicks to each other, that's fine. But also, like, don't be soy about it. Right. Then neocons, I do think that we should be militant about defending liberal, democratic, Republican principle on the world stage against its rivals and enemies. For the techno feudalists, I do want to unlock technology in order to unlock the next generation of humanity. That's something that they kind of share with the abundance libs, whereas the abundance libs want to use it for the collective whole. The techno feudalists want to use it just for themselves. The fiscal conservatives don't capsize the country through reckless debt and reckless spending. That's a good position. Social conservatives, even if you fail in pursuing idealistic virtue, you should still identify ideals and pursue them regardless, because you will be a better person for having ideals that you pursue and fail in than having no ideals whatsoever. That's the best aspect of social conservatism. So Tico Suave says fun racism doesn't work. Just end up covering for people who are actually racist. Doesn't work at scale. Well, it's what I want. What do you want from me? So anyways, that's kind of my summary of what I want. And so if you're kind of like in the social democratic territory, but you understand what I'm saying, awesome. Become a part of the community of Girl Hottest. If you're a progressive and you'll tolerate me being fun racist, then welcome to the community of Girl Hottest. If you're a brunch liberal who enjoys your leisure class and you're an oiler and you want to throw some cash my way, awesome, join it. If you're an abundance lib who wants to do the technocratic shit in order to usher in the next generation of American wealth and prosperity, then welcome. I want to be a part of this. If you're a neoconservative who wants to defend liberal Republican values worldwide, then welcome. You're a Grill Hottest. If you're a techno feudalist who doesn't want to be a self-serving piece of shit, but you actually want to usher in the next technology that's going to make America amazing, welcome aboard. If you're a fiscal conservative who doesn't want to capsize the country through debt and reckless spending, awesome, welcome aboard. And if you're a social conservative who doesn't want to impose your ideology on everybody else through force, but you just want to encourage people to be the most like virtuous, best versions of themselves, even if they fail, welcome aboard. But that's what I want, and this is the community of Girl Hottests. All right. I'm going to write this down. That was my segment. This is what I wanted to communicate to you guys. This is what I wanted to communicate to Pisco. I feel like my mind map is accurate. I would be curious if you guys have any challenges to it. So you have questions, concerns, comments, whatever, then go ahead and hit it in the chat right now. Thank you to Larry Hutchinson for the $5 saying, I honestly believe that your world of techno feudalism will only lead to socialism due to not needing us for labor, stripping away jobs and income. Right. But then the point of that, Larry Hutchinson, is that if we replaced human labor, then at that point, we would need to usher in something like universal basic income or basic housing or basic food or basic whatever. So Daniel C says it's all wrong. Start over. Grid says, where do you place the constitutional conservatives that actually want smaller government and fewer guardrails? Probably in the fiscal conservative camp, the libertarian camp, wanting smaller state, wanting a smaller state. But you could also have, people are not typically Grid 1 Motorsports. They're typically not emblematic of a perfect encapsulation of the ideology that they subscribe to the most. You know what I'm saying? Like there's probably random things where if I said, oh, no, I actually like this SOCDEM policy, or no, I like this social conservative policy, then there's probably some neocon somewhere who would be like, well, did you know that the original founder of neoconservatism, Jeffrey Bilstein, actually said that, we shouldn't have any kind of welfare state because that encourages public sloth, and we shouldn't have any kind of virtue because that's an imposition from the state. And I would be like, shut the fuck up, nerd. You know what I'm saying? Sean Kaplan says, miss my dono. Don't worry, I'll go back. Grassroots with the 10 says, give me one wrench to rule them all. I can't. You're too powerful. You'll kill everyone. Sean Kaplan says, Connor, what's the difference between your ideal future and fully automatic luxury gay space communism? Because I don't want a moneyless, stateless, classless society. I think it's an absurdity. So when you say socialism, I think, number one, I think socialism is trying to emancipate humanity from the oppressions of capitalism. That's pre-Marxian socialism, and that's the ideal that unites almost all ideas of socialism, is trying to emancipate humanity from the oppressions of capitalism. Marxian socialism, which is what most people are referring to, is decommodification of basic human needs and workers owning the means of production. I don't know if the worker should ever own the means of production unless it's on a voluntary basis. I would never want to create a state that's large enough to enforce workers owning the means of production, because I think you should have the option. I think if you're an entrepreneur and you want to create a socialisty like institutional venture where you profit share with every employee, amazing, go do it. That's amazing. But if you are also an entrepreneur who wants to work with contract labor on a voluntary basis in order to create something amazing, then go do it. And as long as all of your employees are working there on a volunteer basis and they can leave at any time, I don't give a fuck, So that would be the difference. That's where it wouldn't be communist. It could be fully automated. It could have a lot of luxury, and the gays could be there, and we could be in space, but not the communism. So thank you for the question, Sean. I appreciate the chip. Larry Hutchinson says, honestly believe that your world of techno feudalism will only lead to socialism due to not needing us for labor, stripping away jobs. And that's what I'm saying is like, it probably would lead to socialism. But at that point, if we've replaced human labor, who gives a fuck? Right? The reason why I don't want to implement socialism right now is because I think the reason why most people get up in the morning is to serve their basic needs. They need to find water. They need to find food. They need to find money and shelter. And so that motivates them, no matter how much they hate working, that motivates them to go work, right? Whereas I think that if we still need human labor, but you eliminate like the need for food, water, and shelter, I think 70% of people are staying home and do whatever the fuck they want. They'll pick lint out of their belly button. They'll smoke pot. They'll eat endless amounts of food. They'll play video games. They'll jerk off because guess what? That's what I want to do. If I did not need money, I would probably still be a live streamer. Let's be real, because this job is actually fucking awesome. But if I had the capacity to have my current standard of life and then live stream when I wanted to because I didn't need money, I'd probably be 90% less productive, because why would I be? I can pick lint out of my belly button. I can sleep in late. I can eat as much food as I want to. I can, stretch and smoke pot and hang out and do whatever I want. Why would I go do all that extra crazy shit when I can just enjoy my life and then I can work when I feel like it, So the reason why I don't want to implement socialism when we haven't eliminated the need for human labor is because our society is predicated on human labor. So I think you need like carrot and the stick motivation. The stick is you got to pay your taxes, and if you don't pay your taxes, the state is going to come beat your ass. The carrot is if you do work, you get a carrot. You get some carrots that you can eat, along with some water and some shelter. So, anyways. Fuck you, Christian Polaris. Connor is already pretty unproductive. Bro, I stream 25 hours a week. I work 15 hours a week doing the Counterpoint Sci-Fi, Counterpoints 40K, Counterpoints 40K, Counterpoint Star Wars. And then I raise a family on top of that. There is not a moment that I am not doing something except for when I'm asleep. So I don't agree with you. I just think I have a very easy job, which is content creation. Dana says, I think your Rhino channel would rocket to the top. It is a possibility to take you there, but personal sacrifice would probably piss you off. Yeah. Christian Blair says, it took me disappearing for 3 days for you to consistently post announcements. Lol. Yeah. I was like, is Christian Blair mad at me? Is he mad? I'm still not posting it consistently, though. Larry Hutchinson for 10 says, also, I find faults in the idea of letting AI be unregulated. While I can see the benefits of it, the risk of said technology is like playing a dangerous game of chicken with nuclear Armageddon. I agree with you, Larry Hutchinson. But I also think that we're at an interesting point. So if you and me, were in the 1930s or 1940s, then we would have said no to the atom bomb, right? We would have said unlocking the energy within molecules to create a destructive explosive device so devastating that it annihilates an entire city in seconds is too much technology. Like, humanity was never meant to wield such power, right? And we would be right, because basically 600,000 Japanese people were evaporated instantaneously by the United States of America, right? We just destroyed 2 cities. Now, while that's true, nuclear technology also unlocked nuclear power, which has been powering our cities for generations. It's unlocked the potential for fusion technology, which could end our need for energy in perpetuity and doesn't carry the risks of fission nuclear technology. And I think that risk is worth it. So I'm totally conceding to you that it's an AI. If it actually achieved what people think it's going to achieve, it could be similar to unlocking nukes, right? But Unark says fusion ha. You don't like the way that I pronounce fusion? What's wrong with fusion? All right. Anyways, let me scroll through and read some chats because I'm gonna scroll up a few pages and do it. So this is the last one I addressed. I addressed all my super chats. By the way, like the stream, share it with your friends, engage your chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. I know this is just the true cog. This is just like the 50 people or so who actually enjoy my perspectives and aren't just here to watch me cover the drama of the day. We can go watch the drama of the day now, but I needed to get this out because I think that some people, namely Pisco, but also even some people in my audience who were further left, they're like, why won't you join us? The right wing is obviously so fucking bad. And it's because I don't want to join you. I want you to join me. You know what I'm saying? Wow Man says that's a nice mind map. Let's see level 2. That was like level 50. Fuck you, Wow Man. Jesus. Hurt my feelings. I know you're joking, but you hurt my feelings. Well, QC John says right here when I am at grid 1. True. Politics JK says, do you trust the tech bros to not just keep it all? No. But that's why you tax the fuck out of them. And you also regulate them as needed. And I would argue the sizes of some of those aren't quite representative. Sure, they're not. Evan says, my gripe is about the sizes of the grouping so we can have a more substantive conversation in reality and away from the ideal. I would be able to talk about it around 11:30 through 1, limited by chat. My brain is mush. So if you actually want to have like an hour-long conversation or debate about the sizes, their relevance, and how they play in the political zeitgeist, we would need to pick a date next week. Christian Blair says, you would either need force or some kind of catastrophic event to make this project a reality. What, mine? Mine requires infinitely less force than fucking socialism. Mine is just yap to the world until enough people agree with me that we have political leverage to force them our way. Or have my dude, if I die, but I can't achieve this project, but I push people in this direction, and as a result, other actual power players, other electoral power players, or online political power players actually consider my ideas and integrate the good ones and reject the bad ones, that's good enough for me. Dude, I hate to say this, but it's true. If I die tomorrow, I'm dying happy. It's actually true. Like, dude, I've been with a woman for 15 years. We've had 2 amazing children who I absolutely love more than myself. I love them with every fiber of my being. Just being real, I've been in love like half a dozen times. So I feel like I've had a pretty rich romantic life compared to what some people experience. I've served in the military, which is an incredibly mentally, spiritually, and physically arduous experience. Law enforcement was an incredibly physically, mentally, spiritually exhaustive experience. I have a bachelor's degree, which is kind of like the standard of what you need to achieve in academics for people to listen to you at all. I've traveled probably a healthy chunk of the world. So if I die tomorrow, I'm happy. You know, if my project is unfulfilled, but I've moved anybody in my audience an iota towards considering my version of the world, then once again, I'll die happy. So if I make enough money to pay my bills advocating for my political agenda, and I move, who was it? It was Ryan Getty. Ryan Getty said, I don't think it's important to have a perfectly fleshed out ideology. I think it's important to push in a certain direction. Because if you look at the political forces of history, they were not perfectly fleshed out ideologies. They were political directions improperly executed by their flawed aspirants. That's beautiful. And I love it. And Ryan Getty, actually, weirdly enough, somebody says I sound like Porton Jetterson. Weirdly enough, Ryan Getty kind of took a lot of stress off of political punditry for me by making me realize I don't have to have the perfect agenda. I need to have a direction that I'm pushing in. And the direction that I'm pushing you guys in, and hopefully the direction that you're pushing me in, is a higher direction. We're not fighting for a single political tribe. We're fighting to be the best human beings that we possibly can be. That's what I'm looking for. Conserve says it also makes people reliant on the state. It's a bad road. You don't want to go down that road. True. Christian Lair says becoming a liberal, advocate purity and responsible gun ownership. Sure. A socially conservative liberal. I'm a socially conservative pro-gun liberal. I'm a socially conservative pro-gun liberal who loves American military power. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see how that works. Thank Brandon says, I want a Star Trek society. Okay. Tico Suave says, how do you feel about the idea that there are different times where different socioeconomic positions might be more appropriate? Yeah, of course that's true. Politics JK says, you got to add a box for unions and the left and shrink the progressives, cut the neocons by 2/3. No. Grid says, Connor, I would like to do an episode of Gun Prattle with you at some point. Let's do it. But let's schedule one, because if I try to do something today, I'm going to die. At 1 p.m., I'm supposed to be with Dan Pace for a react. Sean Kaplan says, how does contract labor work with hyper-intelligent AI and robots? Well, if we replace human labor, then effectively, like, you have food, water, and shelter, right? You got your 1,500 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment that you can choose to raise a family in, but it's provided by the abundance of the society. But then if you want more, then you come up with an entrepreneurial idea that you then either use machines or human labor to execute. We can't forget Dostoevsky, can we? I don't think so. Dank Brandon says, machines that will create whatever I want, the ability to get a job in Starship Entertainment and banging aliens. There you go. Belly button pickers rise up. True. Damn, that's a lot of unproductiveness. I know. Hold on. Let me go full screen and just read chat for a bit. Because a good life requires purpose. I agree. But my purpose would be raising my family. So I would pick my belly button, smoke pot, and play video games, but then I would just raise my kids. My kids and I would go to the park. We'd throw the baseball around. We'd work out. We'd do all that shit. Dana says, I think your Rhino channel would rocket to the top. It has the possibility to take you there, but personal sacrifice would probably piss you off. No, I would love to do it. I just think I have to stick with the brands that already work. And I think I have so many projects right now. I need to get all of my projects off the ground, succeeding and bringing enough money in that I don't have to worry about money. I know I'm always going to worry about money, but I don't have to worry about money. And when I don't have to worry about money, then I'll branch out even more. Sean says, well, that confirms that hundreds of years from now, you are a socialist. Well, yep, but the material conditions dictate that I'm not a socialist in our current era. Christian Blair says, it took me disappearing for 3 days. Do you consistently post announcements? True. Daniel C says, I feel like that utopian society without work would just evolve into unseen levels of degeneracy, idle time and all. Yes. Idle hands are the devil's playthings. Christian Blair says, I feel like the stick works more than the carrot. Well, you might need a lot of stick, and I think that's a bad society. Hutch says, I find faults in the idea of setting AI be unregulated. That's where we did our nuke comment, so that's true. What's first world problem to a third world hustle? That's true. It's true. That's why I like Mexicans. They hear my problems and they're like, lol, shut the fuck up. Get back to work, dumbass. It's just obvious as the problem with unregulated AI isn't Skynet. It's that we're going to burn up all these resources for cat videos. There's a lot of water on the planet. We could build endless desalinization and pipes. And whenever I bring up desalinization and water pipes, people are like, it's too expensive. The cheaper water is available abundantly in lakes and rivers right now. So we're just going to ecologically destroy the interior of the United States until it becomes so expensive that eventually we do desalinization and pipes. And I'm like, isn't that the job of the state, to predict and prevent externalities from destroying society? Isn't that what we created a government for? Giga Impact says it wasn't 600K, more like 150K to 240K. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about, but that's okay. Harstar says you got to get 25 kills before you can unlock nukes. Valor Media. Oh, dead Japanese people. I got you. Okay, well, 200K. It's what is it? You know, if you quote Dresden from the hit sci-fi TV show The Expanse, 200,000 dead people is a rounding error in the history of human atrocity. Shakes head in Japanese. Sorry, Unork. Think Brandon says, lol, I was about to say that we could just do the fusion dance. I love the fusion dance. Got in my weekly unk bullying. Thank you, Sen Patriarch. Fell with the 5 says, I want the religious zealots to take over the Techno Feudalists and force everyone to pray to the machine spirit anytime they want to use Google. That's an option. That's an option. Turn the Techno Feudalists into a religious cult worshiping the Omnissiah. That's another option. Grid says, I'm retired and do not have to do much of anything, yet I stay very busy and try every day to increase my wealth. We should all strive for the same, so have some wealth. Thank you. I appreciate you, King. I'm just talking about in a socialist society in which food, water, shelter, you could literally wake up, eat shit, and piss and not do anything, and you would still have the same level of material wealth. Now, I agree with you, because what I would do, let's say the bad socialism is not ushered in, but the good socialism is ushered in, okay? Let's say that we have the techno feudalists start mining the asteroid belt and they replace human labor with Boston Dynamics robots to the point that you don't need to work anymore because you have food, water, and shelter guaranteed no matter what. Well, I think in order to encourage the entrepreneurial spirit that Grid One Motorsports is talking about, it should be very basic. It should be the equivalent of living in a military barracks and eating chow hall food. Because what will happen is there will be people who are satisfied with living in a barracks that's made out of cinder block, watching TV all day and eating chow hall food. That will be a portion of the population. But there will be, and it'll probably be a social esteem thing, there will be an entire middle class and upper class of people who will say, I don't want to live in the barracks. I don't want to live chow hall food. I appreciate the community of people who are in the barracks eating the chow hall food, but I want to do something greater and better. Therefore, I'm going to take my brain, I'm going to think about what makes the world a better place, and I'm going to make that thing and try to profit off of its creation, which, by the way, is still not socialism. So we would have decommodified basic human need, but we wouldn't necessarily have the state forcing workers owning the means of production. Conserve says they've already in large part abandoned Christ. I could see it happening. True. Sounds like we should join each other. Fusion. Ha! Oh, okay. It was a Dragon Ball Z reference. I was really confused by that. I was really confused by this comment. I had no idea why you were saying fusion. Ha! Connor, come over to the right. We have the best cookies and coffee, and you can make all the racist, sexist, anti-furry jokes you want. But yeah, but I want to make the left make the racist, sexist, anti-furry jokes. Join the COG. We have steaks and cool dudes who work out. I agree. Maybe Rhino should become a new political party, a purple logo. I agree. True. It shouldn't be red. It should be purple. Excellent. Not comparing this project to socialism. Okay. Newmanak says, would you agree 3 Mile should be understood as a success story for shutdown and containment as opposed to Chernobyl? Yeah, probably. How many people died at 3 Mile? Like 3 people? How many people almost died in Chernobyl? Hundreds of thousands? Millions? How many people actually died in Chernobyl? Hundreds? Maybe thousands? Larry Hutchinson for another 5 says there's videos of white hat hackers using AI now to hack things. Peter Thiel world is that of tech bro who is only thinking of tech and not humanity. Sure, but that's why you harness them, tax the fuck out of them, and limit them through regulation when necessary. But you also give them enough latitude in order to create the next generation of things that are going to change the world. Samson says, sounds like your temperament. A lot of people need incentives. Yes. Christian Blair says, what does any of this have to do with achieving your project lol? I don't know. You can have a good life as a socialist, never achieving socialism in America. Unfortunately, if you're going to subscribe to a dogshit ideology, you should have to work for that ideology. True. Connor, if you die tomorrow, I'll finish what you started, Vader breathing. Thank you, old school. I'm happy one of you takes up my mantle. That would be great. Unork says we need to collectively go in a direction. That's what I'm pushing for. Horse God says, if I die tomorrow, it's cool. I had sex, mission accomplished. What are you, a bee? Are you a bee? Has sex once, stings a random person, dies. Ugh. I think Horse God is a fucking bee. Christian Blair says everybody thrives in mixed economy capitalist plus liberalism, even its ideological enemies. True. Finish Connor's project, establish Goonopolis. There you go. You can take that part of my project. Conservative liberalism says I'm a personally conservative, pro-gun liberal, socially to a point. There you go. Yeah, but then you attack me randomly on geopolitical shit, so we would beef on that. Christian Blair says, Connor, don't say sure unless you plan on becoming a liberal. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's just obvious. Says, yeah, gun talk, do gun talk stream. Yeah. Grit and I will get together and we'll pick today. He says, definitely not today, maybe next week or even later. Okay, sounds great. Tico Suave says, where might you say it would be appropriate that the world be socialist communist then? Once we've eliminated the need for human labor, but I never want communism. A moneyless, stateless, classless society. So I don't want the society to be moneyless because money is just tracking wealth. So it's tracking energy. So even if you had a society that had so much abundance, you would still need a system to track the energy expenditure in each thing to develop the statistics in order to know where you need to develop shit. So you would still need money. And then classless recognizes an enforcement mechanism where you basically say we're all the same and there's no rulers, there's no bosses, there's no one in charge of society. That's cringe anarchic bullshit. So I don't want a classless society. And then a stateless society, a state being a government, I think that we will always need, even if we perfectly solved all of the material and spiritual problems of our species, we would still need to get together because there would be problems, and we would need elected higher level members of society to solve disputes. So I want to keep money. I want to keep a state. I want to keep classes. So at that point, I think communism is utopian fucking bullshit. And then socialism, the decommodification of basic human need, I'm okay with that once we replace the need for human labor. And then I don't want the state to compel forced ownership of every economic institution in a market. So I'm like quarter socialist when we reach robotic, like post-robotic abundance that makes socialism obvious or makes decommodification of basic human needs obvious, which we are not at technologically. Grid says definitely not today, maybe next week. Cool. Hedonic Samuel for 10 says, happy Friday, listening to you rant while I'm prepping $1,000 worth of beef tenderloin for Valentine's Day. Excellent. That sounds like a good life. Sacred Snow says Connor refuses to fix the mind map by cutting the neocon box by 2/3, not because he's lazy, but because he would take 66 damage from realizing that there's not that many people. I hate you. I love you and I hate you simultaneously, Sacred Snow. Quick show, like the stream, like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. Thank you to all the people who have chipped and oiled so far. Larry Hutchinson, Sean Kaplan, Hedonic Samuel, Larry Hutchinson again, Grid One Motorsports, Fell Runner, Larry Hutchinson, Sean Kaplan, and Grassroots Hegemon. Thank you to all my chippers and my oilers. I do appreciate it. Still going. What if AI robots rose up and created an MLK-like character? Do we crush his dreams? Probably. If you watch the Animatrix, absolutely. Cosner says, Connor, what's issue with unions? That they get involved in organized crime. They get involved with organized crime, and they use their collective power to bully their own members. But if you had like heavily regulated unions, there's nothing wrong with collective bargaining. Collective bargaining of people within an industry or collective bargaining of people within an institution, I actually have no problems with. If it's actually about, excuse me, finding the conditions and benefits and pay that is fair to both the employee and to the institution, I have no problems with unions as a concept. I have problems with unions as they're executed. But, you know, what don't I have a problem with? You know what I'm saying? Dana says, you are denting my perspective, Connor. So long as there is logic with receipts, I'm definitely willing to consider and evolve 100%. I would use MAGA hats for campfire fuel, though. Hey, same team. Friendly fire. Ceasefire, show clear. Harstar says, oh, trust me, I have a lot of stick. Nice. You will be a socialist well after you're dead. Yeah, that's the best time. Times 2 Avi says, is desal tech getting good? It's always been good. It's always been good. For desal tech, we've had the sponges, the sponge technology that just kind of like forces salt water through a sponge that removes all the like salt minerals from it. And then we also have boiling. The problem with boiling is that it doesn't maintain all the minerals necessary. You basically have the water. You have the water that I'm trying to remember. It's the water that doesn't have minerals in it, so it actually leaches minerals from your bones. They used to sell it as like a health thing, and it's actually bad for you. So you would have to like reintegrate it with some minerals in order to make it healthy for human beings again. But yeah, we've always been able to like boil water. Matter of fact, a lot of pro-nuclear people, I don't think tap water should be nuke water. I know that technologically you could just boil water in a nuclear power plant. And allegedly the burn is so clean that you could drink that water. So you could have a nuclear power plant that was weirdly enough designed also to be a desalinization machine. But I think that water should be like available, I suppose. I don't know if I would compel people to drink it, but I would. I'm not opposed to its creation. The combination of a nuke desal plant. Dana says the Rhino channel would eclipse your current success, Connor. That's what my crystal ball says. Okay, well, when my other 5 projects are succeeding financially, then I'll move on to Rhino. It's just obvious. It's funny. Most AI bros I hear like are actually use salt water, bro. I know. Larry Hutchinson says the thing we heavily regulated, nuclear energy, the world these people are now banking on, it's not regulated. Even our economy is currently sitting on an AI bubble similar to the housing bubble. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I expect the AI bubble to burst in the next 5 to 10 years and for the American economy to shrink by 25% as a result. For sure. I Am Simba says desal will get cheaper when demand for water rises enough to innovate more. True. Sean with the 5 says eventually AI can come up with every genius entrepreneurial idea without us. The Experienced Machine by Robert Nozick is inevitable. Maybe. Conservative liberalism says I don't think you get to say 250,000 lives is a rounding error while also reciting the parable of throwing starfish back into the ocean one at a time. Yeah, I can. Because the whole point, I'm not saying it's a rounding error. It's actually like a moral horror. Dresden is the one who said that it was a rounding error. The I think on an individual level, you still need to listen to the parable of the starfish, because the truth is, like, we are not all what was that guy's name? The guy who developed the bomb, but then he felt really bad about it. The guy who made the Jap Killer 9000 bomb, and then he felt really bad about it. It's not Turing. Turing's the computer guy. Somebody can say his name is Chad. I know who you know I'm talking about. The guy who made the nuke, who then quoted the Bhagavad Gita, and he was like, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. And then the president at the time called him a pussy to his face. He's like, you didn't drop the bomb. I did, you fucking pussy. It was crazy. What a crazy moment in history. Let me take a sip of this tea before I continue to read chat. I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. What a weird way to say it, too. Larry Hutchinson says there are more than a few videos from economists discussing this dilemma right now. Without everything is speculation with no solid foundation. OpenAI is currently facing bankruptcy. Good. Fuck them. Times 2 Sav says AI data centers should have to use ag runoff for cooling. I agree. They should be separated out and forced to bear the costs of their own externality. I'm actually with you. Targan says, Connor, you just have said that you would still stream if you didn't have to work for money. You are proof your theory is wrong. Do you think I'm announcing my streams? Silver wants me to, Silver, Taze, Christian Vlaris, Grassroots, my Oilers and my chatters, they want me to professionalize. So not only do I show up to the right place at the right time consistently in order to make good content and pay attention to said content by using notes in order to make good VODs, and also label things correctly and do short form. You think I'm doing all that shit when whether or not I do that, I still get to do the fun parts of the job? Get the fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. You think I'm lazy now? Give me unlimited food, water, and shelter and a good internet connection, and I'll show you fucking lazy. Christian Blair says the communal toilet showers are going to put a lot of people off, including most of the bed blob leftists. Good. And they can get a job and move the fuck out. Old School says AI with cybernetics opens up the possibility of people making money renting out their bodies to AI. That's dystopian as fuck. I'd probably regulate against that. Solidus says Connor would like Peter Steele. Sounds like a porn actor. Kaiser says, Connor, I share goals with you that I try to be a better human. That's why I don't like to fall into a specific ideology. I want to be able to pick and choose. I think truth is like a broken mirror. Correct. Correct, Kazra. Well, QC John says, Connor, I want to live in the barracks. I want to hunt deer, catch fish, grow tomatoes, drink beer, and sit around a fire pit. Well, there you go. And there's probably people who would enjoy living in a barracks, either with their wife and with their kids in a sparse environment, but they make it fun, they make it interesting, they make it cool, and they like living with their neighbors. So there would probably be advantages to having a barracks, but instead of having it be like a 700 square foot room with a shared bathroom, it would be like a 1,500 square foot room, 2 bed, 1 bath, or 3 bed, 1 bath. That way you could have kids and raise a family in the barrack setting. And even if it's sparse, you would still be able to have a good life as long as you were creative. Targan says, and people in general do not like boredom. Everyone would do something to keep themselves entertained. I think you underestimate my exhaustion. Harstar says the right does not have the best coffee. Maybe. Randy Chang says, is there MRE pizza? No, but you could make that. Hutch with the 5 says, Larry Hutchinson says, my comment coming up is a 2-parter. Okay. Conserve says, I'm on the left. I'm already making racist, sexist, and anti-furry jokes. I have receipts. There we go. Y'all have a fucking black rifle. Ew. True. Rhino is such a good animal for a logo. I agree. I Am Simba says, Connor confirming Snowpiercer is a historical adaptation from the future. Probably. How will you have all the power? Fusion. All will render all our plans to dust. AI will render all our plans to dust. Maybe. Or maybe it'll actualize them. Horse God says, lefties feel like they have to big tent with socialist communists because when the GOP collapsed after Bush, they saw that the Rush Limbaugh voices held retention. As a result, Trump came to power. I know. Conservative liberalism says, I attack you on geopolitical shit when I feel the actions of the U.S. are short-sighted. I want a more sustainable approach to our sphere of influence. Well, we probably align on that. Unork says the concept of money might end up being CPU cycles or electricity or something in the far future. Sure. It's just obvious as we need classes. Paladins and monks are cool. True. Paladin, monks, warlocks, bards. You want me to abolish that? Get the fuck out of here. I am Simba says the only way to eliminate money would be if technology advanced to such a degree that all humans would be individually self-sufficient. Correct. Samson says extreme wealth inequality is dangerous, but no class is also dangerous. Yes. Horse God says lefties are trying to big tent just like the right did, but lefties are too purity testing and prone to infighting, so it feels icky. True. Socialism is based once we have Star Trek replicators. Yeah, but then you still have to have workers owning the means of production, and I think that's cringe and lame. So, if it's compelled by the state, if it's voluntary, I don't give a fuck. What's the best D&D class? I don't know. I want to be a paladin. So, I don't play D&D, but my friend Haley is MIA, and my friend Amanda and my friend Tom Green, they all play D&D, and they're trying to encourage me to do D&D. So I need to consider D&D more. It's just Abby says, what's the best D&D class? Once again, I don't know, but I'm assuming Paladin. Although I've heard bards do really silly shit. I've heard bards do super silly shit, and it kind of like makes the game actually really funny and entertaining. So what's the next content? Geopol. It's either Geopol or we could watch Lonerbox hop on the dog pile for Hasan. I don't really give a fuck. Y'all tell me. Do you guys want to watch like Ryan Getty and William Spaniel? Do you want to watch like a highfalutin, intelligent essay? Or do you want to watch, some fucking Twitch, YouTube poll slop? Mixed economy is the way. Distribution of wealth is just way too fucked. True. Tico Suave says, I don't think anyone would ever advocate for past work levels of abundance. People make money based on inefficiencies, and greed would subvert any organization towards that end goal. I don't know if I understand your concept fully, but I'll just say it out loud so chat can mull on that. I'm Simba says, Connor, you have looked at the Pam Bondi hearing, have you, or will you be discussing it? Yeah, I already looked at it. I think we watched it live during the day, and we watched her crash out multiple times. It's just funny as hell. It's funny as hell that if the stock market is over 50,000 whatever, you're allowed to molest children. That is fucking wild. That is a wild statement. If once again somebody said, oh, your parents wouldn't commit suicide if they were 1990s Republicans and they saw the current Republican Party, you talking so casually about suicide is repulsive and gross. And it's like, okay, kill yourself. But that's TOS. I shouldn't say that. But I definitely feel that way. But the point is, like, if the stock market is over 50,000, you're allowed to molest kids. That is the actual takeaway from plenty of the libertarian and conservatarian right, where they're like, there's no way in fuck Pam Bondi isn't absolutely sweeping the fuck out of a pedophile ring right now. It's actually amazing. I'm happy to see the right wing implode and collapse and cannibalize their own evil people. It's good. It's cathartic. David Morton says, I'm a social mechanicus. I believe the flesh is weak, but thinks we still need some of the squishy bits. There you go. Just add some brine to the water. There you go. Black water. Desal requires sponges. Are we sponge worthy? I don't know the Seinfeld reference, but I'm imagining Jerry getting a sponge bath. Grassroots says, I don't want no foreign minerals walking around in my bones. That's where my bones are. David Brandon says, desal would be a goal use of clean, beautiful coal and sand and cloth. All right. Oppenheimer. That's who it was. Barbenheimer. That's who it was. Barbenheimer. Yep. There we go. There we go. Deanna Calico Cloud says, gross disrespect to the office of POTUS and to the American people, world, anyone with a brain, actually. Interesting. John Kennedy says, dude, every time you bang on the table, your camera shifts. Well, I know. I got a wall mount. I'll probably install it this weekend. So right now it's hooked up to the desk. So whenever I move the desk, the camera moves. And also it has this like weird thing where it just like consistently shifts throughout stream. It just like slides a few millimeters. So I'm no longer in the center of the shot. So what I'm going to do, I got a wall mount. I'm going to put in the wall mount and then it'll be like hanging right here. So not only should I be able to get like a better angle, but it should be a more consistent angle that doesn't get banged around as much. I'm sure I'll still find some way to bang it around, but it shouldn't get banged around as much. Sacred Snow says Oppenheimer was quoting the Bhagavad Gita when Vishnu said, "Now I'm become death, destroyer of worlds." He was just saying it weird. I know. But I was saying it weird because he said it weird. Fell Runner says having kids and actually participating in their lives is extremely tiring and some time consuming. So Connor is kicking ass as far as I'm concerned. Thank you, Fell. Thank you. I do love my children. Connor, what room is for the pile in this bunker? The basement. The basement will be the laundry room and the pile room. Larry Hutchinson, thank you for chipping so much today. I do appreciate it. Then with the way things are set up now, we are looking at another great recession, especially with the BBB and the debt, nothing propping us up. See the current job report. We lost more jobs than last year. Well, it's a Trump economy. Thank Trump for that. Excuse me. Old School says best D&D class is an arcane archer. That's cool. Hedonic says I'm a dragonborn bard. That's cool. Jen Winkler says, haven't seen you lately. Glad I did today. I don't know who you're talking about, but hi, Jen, if you're talking to me. Fell Runner says, laugh my ass off, Connor. You need to watch the latest D&D movie. It's good for kids. Good. Bards can do anything any other class does. They mostly evolve based on party need. That's interesting. Bards can physically hurt people with insults. That's awesome. I'm a DM for a weekly game. We've run for 10 years. Let me know your D&D queries. Okay. I will. Old School says, I'll say archer for any class since I'm a hobbyist archer since high school. That's based. That's actually based, Old School. I know we fight sometimes, but that's actually like super based. Big in Gaming, Dow does well. You can do whatever you want. I know. Times Too Savvy says, I heard that if you weren't in the Epstein files, you had no motion and were probably a loser. Dude, there was some lefty who did that where they did a TikTok where people like they didn't want to look like losers that weren't cool enough to be invited into the Epstein files. So they weren't real celebrities, but they were celebrities like apologizing to their audience for being on the Epstein list in order to gain the social cachet of appearing cool enough to be invited to the pedophile party. I thought that was a wild TikTok. That was like a legitimately wild TikTok. Bam Pondy crashing out is definitely peak content, but I already watched it. I watched it live. Matthew Toder says last Friday's philosophy content was a nice way to end the week. I suggest something similar. Did I do philosophy content last week? What did we do last week? Last Friday, wasn't I gone last week? What happened? I don't want to have to walk past the pile to clean my socks. That's why I'm going to make you walk past the pile. Oppenheimer quotes are weirdly deadly. He's carrying a lot of guilt felt by the prince who was obligated to go to war at his office. Yes. Excuse me. It's just Avi, just in case Old School isn't looking at his screen. I'm an archer. What style do you shoot? ? So Old School, that's for you. I wonder what D&D queries Connor has. He's calling me a queer. Big in Gaming says every one of those influencers and their binders should be mocked for the rest of their lives. True. All right. Anyways, I'm caught up with chat. So like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. We did hit 11 super chats over 2 hours. So technically we did hit a goal already, which is great. And then we are only going to be here until 1. So we're going to be here for an hour and 15 minutes until we move over to Valor Reacts on Twitch. So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to do Geopoll with William Spaniel? Do you want to do actual politics with Ryan Getty? Do you want to do a dog pile of Hassan Piker through Lonerbox? What do you want to do next? So, that's what it was. The commencement speech from the guy who committed suicide. Yeah, that was good stuff. You're right, Matthew. I'm sorry I forgot that. That was an excellent speech. So John Kennedy says, I didn't watch the VOD since I'm cringe, but how articulate did I express myself on the Marketplace of Ideas live stream? Well enough. I could tell that you were, kind of newer to throwing elbows because you kept apologizing for throwing elbows, but well enough that you should practice. Like, you should do more of that content. You should go on to more shows and throw elbows. So, William Spaniel, what is he talking about? He's a talented geopolitical commentator who normally does really good video essays. Beaver Queef says Hasan Slop. Harstar says Hasan Slop. Dude, if Christian Vlaris doesn't show up in the next 30 seconds to say Geopol, then I'm gonna do Hasan Slop. I got like 4 votes for Hasan Slop via Lonerbox. Times 2 Have says, have you ever thought about getting a shot collar to make your camera stay in place? True. Tico Suave says, please no Hasan Swap. But you got okay, go with the people. Yep. Everybody's voting for Slop. We're gonna go do Slop. Let's do Lonerbox Slop. Lonerbox versus Hasan Slop. I say that like I'm disappointed, but I'm not disappointed. It'll be an easy react. I trust Bonerbox to be a good creator. The problem is he's going to say like a shit ton of stuff that I agree with. So then it's going to be like, you know, how do you react to something that you already agree with? Hasan Slop for the views. Got to make that money. True. Work has gobbled up my time. I shall enjoy without typing. Thank you, Evan. I appreciate you. Damn, I was outvoted. This is just democracy. This is why democracy never works. True. Democracy, the worst form of government, except for all the other ones. You are learning the lessons, King. We're learning the lessons. Having 75 people, though, just when we're bullshitting with chat and also doing a mind map, I like that. I like that we have 75 people for actual COG content. So let's pull up YouTube. Let's pull up Bonerbox. Ooh, The Expanse, the raid on Toss Station. This should get a gorillion views. Okay, I'm going to run this in the background. If you haven't subscribed to Counterpoint Sci-Fi yet, you need to. And this is probably going to be the best episode of The Expanse, which sucks because there wasn't a lot of like obviously good thumbnails. The Expanse is too dark and they don't focus. The cinematography doesn't focus either on the characters engaged in action or on the spaceships at cool angles that make it incredibly aesthetically pleasing, which, you know, I'm going to blame the showrunners for, but it's such a good show, dude. You got to watch it. So if you're into science fiction at all, not only do you need to go to Counterpoint Sci-Fi, you need to go watch the episode, The Raid on Toss Station. It is the best near future action set piece that I've seen in like decades. Like there are places, excuse me, Aliens movies, Aliens in general, Avatar, all of their action scenes are like more bloody, more violent, more characters, better CGI, better effects, better this, better that. The Raid on Toss Station actually has real stakes, real like characters, real I don't even know how to describe it. There's just, it has a soul. It's not just action slop. It's action slop with a soul. And it's so good. So, yep. Let's do Lonerbox. Bonerbox. Let's go to his videos. Damn. Is it like a Lonerbox clips? Lonerbox Hasan. It's not on his main channel. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Here it is. Loner Unboxed. So this is like Chud Logic Noir. This is like his backup channel. But it's a 30-minute video, and you guys know me. I can take a 30-minute video and make it last 4 hours. So this will be sufficient for our purposes of reacting for the next hour and 10 minutes. All right. Bonerbox. Hi, guys. Welcome to Counterpoints. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd. God damn it. I fucked it up. 1 second. Hi, guys. Welcome to Counterpoints. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd. A Marine Corps. Fuck, I fucked it up. Hey, hi. Can I help you, dog? Not only did I know I was going to fuck it up, but my dog jumped up and like cuddled me. Yes. Hi, come here. I will pet you. I will pet you while I do the intro. Come here. God. All right. Anyways. Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd, a Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran. I would argue a real Republican, and today I got a special treat of brain damage for you. We have Hasan Piker, who is currently getting dogpiled. The reason why he's gotten dogpiled is because he said that in an election between Gavin Newsom and a J.D. Vance presidency, he would vote third party, effectively saying that Gavin Newsom is not deserving of your support. And considering that Hasan Piker has a large left-leaning audience, that's effectively giving them moral license not to vote blue no matter who. The reason why this is so crazy, so cringe, so stupid is because there are so many horrible things happening in the Trump administration that are provably terrible that having this attitude seems borderline reckless with the lives of other people. As an example, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and J.D. Vance have slashed PEPFAR and USAID. PEPFAR is a program that provided HIV medication to people in Africa, and USAID provided humanitarian assistance globally, and the United States was providing 70% of the money for global assistance. That means that we currently have a prediction that 3 million to 14 million people, as a result of slashes to these programs, are going to die from preventable disease in the next 5 years. Okay? Now, I understand that the Holocaust was shooting people in the back of the head, throwing them into ovens, gassing them and all that kind of stuff. But the mere fact that 3 million people to 14 million people who are alive right now are going to die because of Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and J.D. Vance's policies should be enough for any lefty of good conscience who actually believes in harm reduction to be like, okay, I'll vote for the Democrat because they would have never done that. Not just that, but Donald Trump and his administration have given Israel carte blanche to do whatever they want sorry for making a weird noise with my mouth, but in Gaza and the West Bank. Okay. And so once again, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they allowed Israel to do a lot of things in their own defense, but they probably wouldn't just like blanket allow the annexation of West Bank and Gaza. Right. So a Democratic organization, a Democratic presidency, they're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be great. But once again, if you believe in harm reduction, then the choices are clear. And yet this motherfucker took a stupid contrarian position. And the good news is he's getting shredded for it. Not only are the liberals shredding him for it, but the progressives are shredding him for it. The leftists are shredding him for it. The socialists are shredding him for it. The communists are shredding him for it. The only people who are not shredding him for it are his own sycophants. And so Hutch, a liberal, has been taking the fight to Hasan Piker and his audience, which is great. And then Lonerbox is cheering on said drama because he likewise thinks that Hasan is a midwit, dipstick, dumbass who doesn't know what he's talking about in reference to electoral politics. So let's watch Lonerbox vicariously enjoy the shredding of Hasan Piker. I'll be pausing intermittently in order to break it down myself. Let's go.
Is it there? Hey. Okay. Okay. There he is. There's our guy. Look at the mold. Wait, why is it? Oh, that's a different pop out. Here, okay. Wait, which one's playing though? What the fuck?
Okay. I understand why this is a second channel video, bro. You couldn't have clipped off the first 30 seconds right there?
Are you feeling parasocial today?
Oh my fucking god, it's so stupid. Why is it doing that? Go away. I just want to interact with this fucking paused one. Really? So it just auto plays it without leaving the pause here, but for some reason it's got a mind of its grown tentacles. It's got a mind of its own. Let me interact. Okay. If I go interact. Okay, thank you.
No,
oh my god.
I'm not seeing enough movement from this community in general. Centrist liberals are infinitely more organized on Twitter than we are.
He's so fucking stupid, man. Like he has no idea how much. Really, the Free Palestine crowd doesn't get enough motion on Twitter. Are you fucking serious? He's such a fucking baby, man. I guess that's what you get for just fucking alienating everyone. because
if Steven's going live, that's Unfuck America. Do you guys want to stream snipe Unfuck America?
problem now is that he's trying to do this grift where he basically has two faces, and one of them is the concerned Democrat who just wants the party to do better and thinks that they would get more votes, and if they spoke more to the American people, brackets, college-educated, middle-class, spoiled, brat, fucking frat, cunt socialists. That's basically his position. But then the other one is tanky, agitprop. I'm really just kind of like telling, I'm just kind of doing softer propaganda to reel people into the real truth, which is pro-CCP, whatever the fuck. Stalin did nothing wrong. Mao did nothing wrong. That's kind of like what he's trying to do. He's trying to do these kind of two things at once. And the problem is that the purists, the ideologically pure Marxist-Leninist types, are kind of sick of it. They're sick of him saying nice things about Democrats who have at one point in their life said something nice about Israel, like fucking Graham Plattner or whatever the fuck. They're kind of fed up with that. And then the other people, the people who are more pro-Democrat, or like even like the more normal Bernie types, are kind of aware that this whole like third-party posturing shit is like really fucking useless. So yeah, it's kind of his own fault. Right?
And also, I do despise the left for the most part, because like at most the stuff that I've seen from people has been like, oh, reluctantly I'll say Hasan is right on this, even though I'm a fucking Maoist third worldist. Like, he's right on it. Like, shut the fuck up. Okay. Why is it that there aren't any more people who either want to engage with the Democratic Party and actually make the Democratic Party a viable opposition party, who also simultaneously understand the squirrel decided that today's a good day to jump on the dog pile against you? Yes, because they're mentally ill, okay? They're mentally ill. Those left.
Really? Zay Squirrel, the Twitter squirrel, is mentally ill. What? The person whose tweets you have boosted and promoted for fucking years, actually. Like, Hasan has used this person as a fucking attack dog. I feel bad for them. This poor mentally ill squirrel, fucking psycho, this Hamas supporting squirrel who gives fucking everything to people like Hasan, people like Disinfo Tracker and all that. They'll come into this as well at some point. One day he's going to turn on, one day Hasan's going to turn on Gato Fumador. Oh no. He's going to turn on the fucking smoking cat. And it's going to be such an N_N day. Oh no.
Damn, my commentary is going to be lackluster. So we got, it looks like Non-Fun debating a couple of random Unfudge America creators, because there's not that many people yet. I'm stream sniping the UFA thing in the top left, just seeing if anybody pops up. And, that looks like they're at USC, but somebody was saying that the main characters like Destiny, they're not going to be there until later. So realistically, it could take hours for this to pop off. And right now, it just looks like they're treading water because there's not that many people in front of the event, which is not that big of a deal. I don't think we need to stream snipe it right now. If somebody else is running it in the background and something pops off, let me know, and we'll go check it out. Excuse me. But in reference to this, what I'll say is I'm happy. Okay? I'm just going to say it. I'm happy. I'm happy Squirrel, ZEI Squirrel, has been harassing lefties in purity politics with the dumbest positions that I've ever heard in my entire life, consistently for like the past 5 years that I've known of their existence. Whenever Xander Hall said anything halfway sane, Z Squirrel attacked them. Whenever Vosh said anything halfway sane, they attacked them. And also, I think that the Squirrel and Destiny had like a long-standing Twitter beef where they were always fighting each other. And so, good. Fuck them. I'm happy that Hasan is having internal fights with their own sycophantic Twitter audience. I'm also happy that Hasan is molding and crying and whinging that even the hardcore third worldist, Maoist, anti-imperial leftists are saying, no, harm reduction actually is good. Hasan's an idiot. But I'll begrudgingly support him because the truth is that the leftists need to be stronger so they can force the liberals to be more leftist than they are liberal. So I'm actually, fuck it. I'm mad happy that Hasan's pissed.
Fuck's sake. He boosts these people. Oh, Ban and Banada? Yeah, how many times do you do this? How many times do you deploy these fucking terrorist soldiers against your opponents only to turn on them? Because...
Sorry, this is important too. Did Lonerbox kill his horse? Because for those of you who are not watching your screens, Lonerbox is playing WoW while he's listening to this content, and he was running around with a horse, and then he was jumping across rivers so the horse didn't drown, but then he decided that he was going to go onto the side thing, and then he ran into the water and jumped off of the horse. Did he just drown his horse? That's kind of fucked up.
Because at one point you make a choice. It's like, do I want purity or do I want clout? Oh shit. Oh, I want clout. Oh no, I want clout. Wow, the public's turned on ICE? Well, I was an abolished ICE person before it was popular. Let's make something of this. Let's go. Oh, Democrats want to talk to me? Okay, some clout here. Oh, that means we have to act like we're kind of that we want to have anything to do with the Democratic Party. Oh no. How long before he turns on Mike or Lance? Mike or Lance are way too loyal. They would never. He'll never turn on them. They're too loyal.
Are mentally fucking ill, and I'm sick and tired of it. Okay? Yes, those are the people I'm talking about. Anyway, we're going to talk about Bondi and shit. You're clearly trying to be effective. I don't know why they do this. I know why they do this, because
you're clearly trying to be effective. Well, I don't know why they do this. I'm sorry. How is it effective to say that you would in throw a tantrum? If the Democratic Party doesn't come your way, you're going to throw a tantrum, potentially costing the Democrats the general election and allowing techno feudalists to seize power. Okay. At least I say, hey, the techno feudalists need to make their case to the American people why they're preferable to a socialist candidate from the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, he's saying, if I don't get a socialist candidate out of the Democratic Party, I'm taking my toys and I'm going home. And we'll just have like a techno feudalist society. God, I hate this guy.
They are in a pedophilic sex cult. At least the Sex Pestiny fans are in a pedophilic sex cult. This one quite literally is in.
By the way, I haven't interacted with Destiny for over a year. That's you guys as well, to Hasan. Like, that's his defense. When he defends himself against me, it's my connections to Destiny, apparently. That's still a thing. So that's all you guys, everyone in here right now, pedophile sex cult, okay? Welcome. We apparently have all we're on the one hand, we're emotionless, but also we've got like so much fucking vitriol and so much activity from our community. You know, like he doesn't get sufficient defense, but apparently I do. So that's all of you guys. Let's fucking go. Pedophile sex cult in chat. Where my pedophile sex cultiers at? Cultineers. Get in.
Disavow.
In a pedophile sex cult, and the only thing that they care about is like coming after me and being like, we need to remove Hasan from the throes of the Democratic Party. It's like, it's not going to work. Okay? It's not. You're a fucking idiot. Like you're literally just consistently advocating for ruining the Democratic Party. That's what you're doing. And it's very frustrating. Like, I want to stop the bleeding. I want to stop the pain. I don't care about whatever fucking Squirrel is saying. It does not matter. Their position is utterly irrelevant in this conversation. They're not here. They're not in America. Who gives a fuck?
Wait, really? Is this Squirrel not even American? Man, the Squirrel's giving you everything, Hasan. The Squirrel is unemployable for life. Because of you, in part, because they're defending you. Fuck. You're all she's got.
Conserves as Hasan actually has Destiny derangement syndrome. He equates Destiny's stance on Epstein to all liberals. Amazing. Is that what's happening, though? Is that what's happening? I thought the accusation was that DGG was in a pedophile sex cult because Destiny was, flirting with a guy who was pretending to be a 19-year-old girl who was actually a 17-year-old girl. I thought that was the accusation. I thought it was in reference to the sex stuff. I didn't know it was in reference to the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. I would be surprised if Hasan was aware of Jeffrey Epstein or of Steven's perspective on the Epstein files. I would be surprised by that. But I also, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised because apparently like Hasan is like a really sensitive soul who kind of like name searches himself and has like a bunch of people that whenever he's covered or hated on by random creators in the space, he'll be like way too aware of it. He might actually have like a intel cadre inside the Hasan Cord that actually goes and looks for haters to criticize and crush. So I don't know. I don't know if that's coming from the Hasan intelligence apparatus in reference to Destiny talking about Jeffrey Epstein, or if that's him just calling Destiny a bad guy for his pixie sex drama. I don't know which one that is. Hasan hate watches Steve. I wouldn't be surprised.
He's mad. He's so mad.
You don't have to write the libs if you'd vote for Newsom and just want concessions. Just say that again. No, I don't care. I don't care. I don't think there's any utility in fucking lying about this shit. Like, I'm not going to fucking concede to voting for. I'm not going to concede to voting for Gavin Newsom 2 years out of the gate. Like, it's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. Okay, get the hell.
You weren't asked that. You were asked if it becomes a race, if Newsom wins the primary, if he wins, if it comes. You even acknowledged this. You said, "Oh yeah, because if it reaches that point, it's done anyway." As in, you consider that if Newsom wins the primary, it's over. It's just both sides bad. I hate it. He's trying to hold two positions.
If we're blazing through this content because I don't disagree with Lonerbox too much, Jen. So if I have some time, I'll take a look at it. So Jeremy Call, white nationalist, Trump is trying to make deputy secretary of state. All right, we'll take a look in a sec.
At once here. Trying to say, oh, it's just a hypothetical. It's not important. But also, yeah, no, I'm engaging with hypothetical. I'm saying if it got to that point, I would still vote third party. So people eat this shit, man. It's so stupid.
Out of here. Find a better candidate. Suck my dick.
Whoa.
Gavin Newsom is currently pushing against Ro Khanna in the state that I'm in for a billionaire's tax, and these motherfuckers are like, no, you have to vote for the guy who is anti-billionaire's tax, and you have to like it. It's like, shut the fuck up. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay.
Oh shit. Piranhas.
Yeah.
They're all over me. They're all over me like libs on Hasan's Twitter feed. Oh no. Where'd they all come from?
Not happening. Anyway, these guys are. There's like a multitude of different ideologies at play here. There are the vote blue no matter who, harm reductionist postures, people being like, I'm trans, people being like, Democrats are going to protect the undocumented, Democrats are going to protect the trans people. And it's like, Democrats have literally written you out of existence. Okay, they have. Yes, it's better.
Tricky Paris says, Connor, does Hasan saying he will never vote for Gavin make you favorable to Gavin? A little bit. It's the same thing with Kamala Harris. It's a lesser of two evils evaluation. So also, I think Hasan's full of shit. Okay, I think he's actually full of shit. Number one, California is going to go blue no matter what, right? So that's probably part of his calculation. Is that when's the last time that a Republican won California? Was it like Reagan or some shit? I can't remember the last time a Republican won California. So Hasan's personal vote does not matter that much. It's more of his advocacy. So I think that him saying like I'll vote third party as a protest vote in California is probably part of his calculus. But I think that when he doesn't explicitly immediately follow up with, if you're in a purple state or a red state, then you should be voting for the Democratic person no matter who, because we see the harms of the Trump administration and they are terrible. Like, I think that's where he's a douchebag. And I think that's why all the liberals, all the progressives, all the harm reductionists, that's why they're calling him out. So, yeah, like, dude, if Gavin Newsom becomes an abundance liberal who's more favorable to guns than his track record would point out, and if he tries to make some concessions to the right in order to build a center-right, center-left coalition, then yeah, I'll click for him. Especially if JD Vance like triples down on being a economic populist, sweeping for the Epstein files, tech bro Trojan horse who dick sucks Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. Yeah, I'll probably be flipping that switch. The only reason why I'm not committing to that right now, which I think Hasan just mentioned as well, is we're 2 years out. We're 2 years out. A lot could happen. Maybe JD Vance gets exposed as being a part of the Epstein files. Maybe he was graping kids, and then JD Vance is knocked out and whatever is knocked out. And then Marco Rubio gets on the stage and he says, you know what? I was a part of the Trump administration, but they actually did some pretty bad shit. And if you put me in as president, I'm actually going to bring sanity back to the Republican Party, blah, 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 blah. I'll definitely vote for him on a primary basis if he promises to bring sanity back to the Republican Party. But if he keeps tripling down and going down the MAGA route, then yeah, of course I will vote for the lesser of two evils. Easy commitment to make. The question is, the statement is, though, I just want the liberty to evaluate the lesser of two evils 2 years from now. That's all I want.
Overall, under Democratic governance, Democratic leadership, to be a trans person than a trans person under a Republican leadership where you like genuinely have to leave your fucking state. Same with just being a woman.
And one of those states that you can run to is one that will actually protect you from out-of-state warrants and subpoenas. And that's California, baby. Let's go. Hell yeah. That's Newsom.
Dude, does Loner have I hope that's a Stream Deck button. Dude, I want a Stream Deck button like that. So a Stream Deck is like, $300, $400, but it's basically like it's like a pad that you can press in order to run like scenes, and also you can run like little memes. Dude, I know people like, yeah. Some people hate it. Is Connor gonna get a soundboard? I want one. I'd be so fucking annoying though. Okay, so a lot of people there's this old commentary guy named Tipster who had a soundboard, And a lot of people in commentary made fun of him because he would be doing like, you know, random commentary videos and he would just have like the weirdest soundboard plays. And the most iconic one is like the, oh shit, that's like echoing. It's like, oh shit, but it's like a hip hop guy and it like reverberates. And so if it's a self-aware, post-ironic soundboard that, you know, that we kind of like key up, that would be great. Cause I would love to have like Jeffrey Epstein, the finance guy. Like I would love to have that on board. Or the It's Always Sunny thing where it's like the what is it, Jeffrey Epstein, yes, I did go to the sex island, but just for the snorkeling. Like I would love to have that as a tool that I use. We could get some Destiny-isms in here. We could just find some crazy shit that Destiny said, throw it in there. Whenever Destiny says something crazy, we could fucking play the soundboard clip. And I rewound it a few seconds so we could check out Lonerbox's soundboard, because honestly, like, I would do this. You can hotkey it. Yeah, I know. That's the plan. So hold on. Watch this.
And subpoenas. And that's California, baby. Let's go. Hell yeah. That's new.
I hate that. I hate that, but I find it amazing. Yeah, exactly. Gotta have the New York financier queued up for any time Jeffrey Epstein is mentioned. Yes. The same way that Nick DiOrio, by the way, I know I'm totally off on a soundboard tangent. I promise I'll get back to the content momentarily. But Nick DiOrio has this like one song where it's like, you know what else is massive? And like, so whenever somebody says the word massive, he plays that. And then whenever EHD, so Ethan, Hasan, Destiny, whenever Ethan Klein, Hasan Piker, and Destiny are mentioned in a segment because they dominate they dominate drama content, he plays like a specific song celebrating that they hit the bingo card of mentioning Ethan Klein, Hasan Piker, and Destiny in a single stream. And then there's also another one, so it's a modification of that song, where whatever that Jewish song that's like da 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 da. So he has that one in a techno remix. So whenever they talk about Israel Palestine, which, let's be real, it's like 10% of the time, he plays a techno remix of one of the most famous Jewish songs ever. I love it. Yes, the chair one. Yeah. Oh God. So yes, I want to do that. I want to be, yeah, Havan Nagila. Yeah, there you go. That's the one. That's the one that I want to have on standby.
Comes Wokifornia.
In general, living in a fucking red state. But this kind of like, oh, sweetie, you don't care about my marginalized identity.
Yeah.
Dana says salsa is made. I was listening in the background. I'm back. Well, good to have you back, Dana. We're just chilling, running out the clock until 1 p.m. for Valor Reacts. So I'm probably going to finish this segment. And then if we have additional time, apparently Donald Trump is trying to appoint a white nationalist race realist to Deputy Secretary of State. And Gen X and Fellrunner said we should check that out if we got time. So we'll take a look at that in a minute.
It's bullshit, especially to someone like myself, who, regardless of my, you know, white cishet background, I've never shied away from my advocacy for trans people and all marginalized people. You're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking dumbass. Okay, you're a fucking dumbass. Like, and it doesn't work, and it's annoying, and all you're doing is just being like, you're not moral for me. Okay, well, good luck. Good luck with a fucking JD Vance presidency. You know,
which you're indifferent to because you vote third party if it was Newsom versus JD Vance.
We can't be doing this same old business as usual politics. It's very clear. Okay, it's very,
yeah, we need to go more far left and lose more of the center and the moderate right so we can defeat the far right. God, what a fucking dickhead.
Very fucking clear. It's clear to the voters too, and that's ironically what I keep trying to explain. But these guys who are either chorus backed or whatever, I don't know what the fuck this guy's deal is, but there's so many of these fucking dipshits who mobilize against the left.
Remember, chorus back.
Okay, Feltrunner says, DM'd you on Discord about a Discord soundboard. It's been unlocked with our boost. Yeah, but what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean that I can just use Discord as a digital soundboard where I have a pop-out that I can play random sounds on my computer with? Or does it mean that in a Discord call, I can play random sounds in the Discord. What does a Discord soundboard mean, man? I'm a boomer. I've never had a Snapchat. I've never used a dating application. Well, I have a TikTok account, but the only thing I know how to do with my TikTok account is log in and watch videos. I don't know how to stream on a TikTok, and I'm scared to learn how. Tell me, guide me. The hoes are scared, and I am the hose. You know?
For these guys is just a euphemism for like Israeli at this point.
Yeah, let's find somebody. Let's find somebody. Let's put on the soundboard like Unk and Chopped, because I am the chopped Unk. Okay, I am the chopped Unk.
And I've been seeing that going around a little bit as well. Chorus backed. The chorus cabal. Oh wait, I should use this mace because it's slower. Oh yeah, we're upgrading. Let's go.
Harder than they mobilize against the right, by the way. Okay. Like, they're all up in arms right now on Twitter. They're all up in arms. Let's have the conversation now, 2 years out, before having the conversation right on the fucking dial. Okay. I'm willing to have that conversation. I know other people are not. I know other people are too like focused on some other shit, but it is seemingly a fucking chorus. Another one, bro. You have to switch these chorus, motherfuckers. Yeah. It's just, some of these guys are straight up like, you know, in the pedophile sex cult. Like, this one is literally in the pedophile sex cult of Destiny. I know for a fact, right? I've seen this guy before.
Who the fuck is this person?
But like,
Dude, if Lonerbox kills another horse on stream, I'm actually going to challenge Lonerbox, number one, so we can like catch up and talk. But I'm going to challenge him specifically on continually like killing horses in order to hunt undersea creatures. Do you understand that that's what's been happening for the past 20 minutes on our screen? Lonerbox has been running around killing undersea creatures in order to harvest them for something. But some of the creatures attack him first. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's like a self-defense thing, but then he can kill them and then he can get their like, you know, juice or whatever. But he's basically like, he's participating in the whaling industry, but in order to participate in the whaling industry, he keeps killing his horses. So if he jumps like into the water again and abandons his horse to drown, I'm going to call him to discuss politics, but I'm also going to call him to be like, what kind of example are you setting for progressives where you're participating in the oil or the whaling industry and you're murdering your horses in order to do so? Like, what are you doing?
all they do is
Wait, I'm sorry. I still watch Destiny's content sometimes. Who the fuck is this? Who is this person? Is this a Destiny person? Maybe they spoke once. I don't know. This is maybe a more recent thing that I've missed because I don't watch as much anymore. What?
Yeah, you know what they say? You can't club a baby seal without drowning a few horses. That seems to be Lonerbox's position.
What the fuck? I've never seen this face in my life. He's a TikToker. I mean, you guys are DGTers here, okay? The pedophile sex cult, okay? There's a Venn diagram between the Lonerbox above age of majority cult. Who is this person? Hang on.
Somebody said the horse is safe as in his inventory. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that, and I'm going to accuse him of murdering horses. Sacred Snow says, aren't you the perfect age gap for the WoW craze back in the day? You can't claim Unk, and on this one, Unk. So, yeah, definitely says the horse despawns. It doesn't die, lol. I'm going to pretend that I didn't see that, and I'm going to accuse Lonerbox of murdering horses. So, yes. Let me tell you how it worked in Okinawa, Japan, real quick. So in the thousands in Okinawa, WoW was a thing. And so there was an entire group of people who saw alcohol as their mental escape from being in the Marine Corps. And so they just like drank like fish. And that's what they did. Then there was gooners who visited buy me drinky bars and the red light district and the strip clubs and all that kind of stuff. And that was their outlet for being a Marine and having a tough time in their youth. So there were gooners and alcoholics. And then there was a little bit of a crossover between the alcoholics and the gooners. Okay. There was a third group that was actually quite reliably loyal to their wives and girlfriends back home. Okay. And those people were the WoW players. Because what they did is they got off of work, they played WoW for 6 hours, and then they FaceTimed their girlfriends for 2 hours before they went to bed. So weirdly enough, I was not a WoW player. I did hang out with the Gooners and the Alcoholics, but the Gooners gooned, the Alcoholics alcoholed, and the WoW players actually stayed successfully married to their girlfriends because they spent 6 hours playing WoW and then FaceTime their girlfriends and wives. And truth be told, like, if you were an alcoholic, there was no chance that you were going to stay married or loyal to your girlfriend. If you were a gooner, there was no way that you were going to stay married or loyal to your girlfriend. If you were a WoW player, you had like a 99% chance of staying married and staying with your girlfriend. So yeah, I actually, like, unironically, the WoW addicted players were probably the most physically loyal people to their girlfriends and wives. Any WoW Jodies? Not that I know of. Jodies are the guys who, like, they try to seduce your wife or girlfriend while you're out of town. That's what Jody is. I don't know. Never saw it. Never saw it. I never met any WoW sluts. You know what I'm saying? Do you still want to visit Soapy Land? No comment. Were their girlfriends and wives loyal to them? No idea. I honestly have no idea. Yeah.
Whoop. That's a very stupid question. Go away. He slanders people so fast, it's crazy. Man, everyone's a pedophile in this guy's world. Yeah. Fuck.
Talk about how I am not really a Democrat. I am not a part of the Democratic Party. Whether you like it or not, we're in it together, big dog. If you fucking hate the Republicans, which I don't think you do, let's be real, then you need to shut the fuck up and listen to...
Yeah, these people hate the Republicans. They're only the ones who actually work fucking day and night to try and get Republicans out of office. These are the guys who actually go down onto the fucking streets and knock on doors and try to convince their fucking neighbors and unks, whatever, to vote Democrats to keep the Republicans out of office. They're the ones who actually make the effort. Bro, for the billionth time, I worked harder to get Trump out of office in 2024 than this fucking retard did. While this guy was just fucking LARPing about Israel, Palestine and shit like that. Like, I went to a different country. I'm not even from America. Fucking hell. Oh, but we don't hate the Republicans enough, you know? Not us.
what we're saying, okay? I think it needs to be pointed out that Hutch's whole goal of pushing the Hasan actually hates the Dem party is to isolate you from influencing anything the Dems do to put himself in a position to be paid by the Dems.
I hope so. That's a really noble goal. Yeah, because you are a social cancer to the party. Yes, all you can do is drag shit down. Yeah, you're useless. Yeah, good. You're a negative energy on the party. Yeah, good. Keep them out. Go make your own party. Go third party. You're a third party, dude. Do it then. Fuck.
Yeah, but it's not gonna fucking work because I still talk to the Democrats. You want to know why? Because adult Democrats stand that there is a massive audience of voters here. And not only is there a massive audience of fucking voters here, but also we're right. Like our advocacy.
Democrats go to you because they think you're right. No, Democrats go to you because you've got an audience and because you pretend that you're going to humor them because you're scamming them. That's why they do that.
Is correct. It's not just like a.
Yeah, this was Hutch's point and Lonerbox's point, and I'm going to back them up. I'm a part of the chorus. I'm a part of the Hasan critical chorus. So what they're saying is that, and I think to their detriment almost, but this is the problem. Hasan Piker is probably top 5 political commentators in online alternative media. I think he gets between like 15 and 30,000 live viewers. And I think there's even been times where he was covering like live breaking news, like January 6th, and he broke like 100,000 live, which is insane. And apparently like mainstream news channels actually have like similar viewership. So CNN during a lull, they don't have millions of viewers. They have like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of viewers. So Hasan and Destiny and some other people, if they've broken 100,000 live viewers and they routinely have tens of thousands of live viewers, then arguably they are similar in size to some mainstream programming. So if Hasan Piker has via live stream 15 to 30,000 live viewers and he has a few 100,000 post-recorded viewers to the tunes of ultimately millions of people, then regardless of whether or not he has nefarious or shitty politics, he has the kind of reach of a mainstream news anchor. And so as a result of that, the Democrats will talk to him because his audience leans extreme left, but they also lean extremely young and they also lean, I don't know, like extremely progressive. And so if they're going to get those people's ears, eyes, financial, and logistical support in elections, then Hasan Piker is a vehicle to do it. But then it's kind of a question of like, who's using who, right? If the mainstream people are using Hasan Piker for clout, influence, and eyeballs, that can be true. But Hasan Piker is saying, I have clout, views, and eyeballs because you should listen to me and my political prescriptions. So I think that Lonerbox and Hutch say that it's an alliance and a relationship of convenience, but that doesn't mean that Hasan has no impact on the national discourse or zeitgeist. And that's part of the reason why I applaud Hutch for fighting him. And that's part of the reason why I criticize him as well, is because I want him to stay largely irrelevant on a national stage. I do not want Hasan Piker or his ilk to become tastemakers in the Democratic Party. That would actually like make me want to throw up. It's just obvious as Hasan really is a kind of cuttlefish, shifting his identity depending on what argument he's making. I think I actually disagree with this assessment of Hasan. So some people are saying like, oh yeah, when it's easy to be a normie lib, he's a normie lib. But when he wants to LARP as like a Maoist revolutionary, he LARPs as a Maoist revolutionary. I don't think that's true at all. I actually believe him when he had that conversation with Hakeem in Second Thought, and he says, I pretend to be more normie, I pretend to be more progressive, I pretend to be more palatable to the Democratic Party, so they'll listen to me, so I can radicalize them with my actual like tanky apology of bullshit. I believe him. I believe him when he says that. I think the normie Democrat voter act, the normie progressive act, I think it's a fucking act. I think it's a sales funnel to the far left, which is part of the reason why I don't like Pisco saying like, oh yeah, he should be, he's part of it because I'm using him. He's not using me. And it's like, no, you're using each other. And the gravity of who is pulled in which direction, it seems like more people get pulled in his direction than they get pulled in your direction. So Grassroots says Hasan defended shooting babies because they're Israeli. Lol. You don't get to wind that one back. Well, Grassroots, weirdly enough, we actually watched Pisco's coverage of that. And Pisco, I think by inference, you're correct. By inference, you're correct because Hasan was being very vague about it. And he was saying like, oh, well, there's this school of thought that people who participate in illegal settler colonialism give up their status as civilians and therefore they're viable military targets. And then what was it? Ethan Klein was like, oh yeah, but there's like baby settlers. Wait, no. He said something like, yeah, but I forget the exact quote, but it's effective. It's something effective to the fact that like there's settler civilians, right? There's like women and children who are civilians who are amongst the settlers. And Hasan is like, yeah, there's baby settlers. And so by inference, it seems like he's saying that infants and children are legitimate military targets. It's fucking crazy, dude. And apparently he also has a tweet about 9/11 where he said that the World Trade Center was a legitimate military target because it's the place where the economic the planning of the economic graping of the global South is done. Therefore, it's a legitimate military target. It's like, whoa, bro. If I could denaturalize and deport Hasan as a legitimate enemy of the United States, I would. If I could, I would. If I could make him stream from Turkey, I would make him stream from Turkey. I really would. I would say, move back to Istanbul, you fucknut. You're legitimately an ideological traitor to the United States. Horse God says, working in comms and manage our MWR network on our base in Iraq. The daily crying I heard coming out of that room every day due to relationships falling apart as a result of cheating was depressing. Oh yeah, don't fuck with that. No, I'm good. I'm good. That's part of the reason why it's part of the reason why I broke up with my high school girlfriend at that time. Was I was like, I am not getting Dear John'd. Okay, I'm not getting a letter or a phone call or a Skype message saying, hey, I know we promised that we're going to be together, but I got drunk and I fucked up. I'm not doing that. So we might as well break up now, and I'll do what I do and you do what you do. And maybe we'll see each other on the other side of this, but probably not. Let's be real. So actually, it was very difficult, but I actually applaud my maturity to some degree, even though it's incredibly painful. I'm happy that I took that route rather than the alternative. I saw the alternative chew some people apart.
Fucking a difference in opinion here. Like, there are a lot of fucking people who are mad. Yeah, I'm not a party loyalist at all. The only thing I care about is advancing an agenda that helps the working class. That's it. An agenda that will destroy the Republican Party. I hate the Republican Party. Okay, I hate the Republican Party.
Destroying Israel. That was because that was your big red line in 2024, right? It was Israel. What's that to do with the working class in America? The fuck.
Lonerbox didn't drown his horse that time.
I don't want to concede to the Republicans on policy. I don't like the closeness of a lot of establishment Dems to the Republicans. You literally just have to point them to Zoran to see what you want a Democrat and how you supported them from the beginning. Exactly, but it doesn't matter. They're literally like, no, we love Zoran more than you now.
Yeah.
Based.
And that's kind of true.
Half of these fucking...
And aren't the leftists kind of turning on Zoran Mandami because he's like moving to a more pragmatic stance that actually takes like governance into account? And so a lot of leftists are like, no, you were supposed to be the socialist messiah. You were supposed to bring vanguard leftism into New York City. No, you're a traitor to the movement. No, like, awesome. Dude, I hope Zoran Mandami is a fucking shit lib by the end of this.
Twitter squirrel going after...
Didn't you call Zoran the fucking regime? Didn't you get in trouble because didn't Stacey K, that trans lady, get in trouble for defending Zoran? What do you think Hasan's
thanks, fella, I appreciate you.
Views are on Zoran backing is it Hochul? Is that how you say your name? What do you think Hasan's audience thinks about that? Fuck, the guy's been killed. Shit. Opposing an ethno state isn't a crazy take. That's exactly what I said. Yeah. That's exactly what the position was. Hasan doesn't care about ethno states. He supports the fucking Houthis. You think this person cares about a society's fucking policy towards minorities? Are you fucking retarded? Bill Smith, what's wrong with you? Hasan barely, I don't think he once ever said that he even wants the protesters in Iran to win. You think this guy cares about ethno states? Fuck off. Kill yourself.
Yes! I'm not the only person violating terms of service. Good. Good. I feel like KYS needs to come back, man. KYS needs to come back. That's good. Like, okay, I think there's a difference between, you know, somebody legitimately has like mental health issues, and so you're bullying them, actually encouraging them to take their own life. I think that's different than just like somebody's being an asshole, and so you just say KYS real quick, just as like a middle finger. I hope that YouTube and Twitch kind of liberalize in reference to KYS. That's based. Oh, that's based. That's based.
These course gifters is so frustrating. Stop bringing up Twitter squirrel. Okay, utterly irrelevant in the fucking grand scheme of things. Please. I'm not going to have a conversation.
Whataboutism. No, calling out inconsistencies is not whataboutism, Aristotle. That's actually not true. If someone is inconsistent with their values, and they don't, and you try to broaden their views into a common umbrella view, and I say, no, it's not a common umbrella view. It's a specific grievance against one country that's not consistent with his broader moral values. That's not a whataboutism. That is logical consistency.
About the Twitter squirrel, please. Okay,
Dude, you know what's so funny? Sorry, I know I'm yapping, but you know what's so funny is Loner is so nice. Okay. Back in the panel scene, when Loner was participating in the panel scene, he was actually the guy who would try to have arguments based off of what was being said, rather than coming in with a preconceived dialogue tree and then just hitting you with the dialogue tree and then spurging out when you didn't accept the dialogue tree. So I actually really liked the times that I was on a panel with Loner. I thought he did excellent. And then not just that, I think I've talked to Loner in Cincinnati or one of the DGG events. I hung out with Loner, and he was incredibly nice in person too. So like the fact that we were able to have good conversations on panels, I don't know if we've ever done one-on-ones. We might have done a one-on-one at some point. But like Loner has always been, number one, a good content creator, but also number two, a solid dude. So what I think is so funny about Lonerbox's streams is because I think of him as such a nice guy that when he's constantly pissy with his chat, and then he also like randomly says like KYS like throughout his stream, and he's also dunking on random shitheads inside his stream. I'm like, this is based. Like, it's not the nice guy that I know, but I'm happy that there's like a feisty Scotsman inside Lonerbox's soul. That makes me happy, actually.
The third way liberals are fighting back in the UK too. They're using bots aggressively as a desperate dying act of a corrupt cabal. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. I mean, I do understand it to a certain degree, but it's just like unimaginably frustrating to have to fucking deal with this. But I guess we have to deal with it. We have to push back on this stuff, and we have to communicate to these people that, like, their way is dead. Okay, their way is fucking dead. By the way, dude, are you leaving for Canada tonight for brief personal news? No, I'm not even.
How is their way? I don't understand this. How is their way dead? Because they.
That's what I was about to ask. Like, what if Gavin Newsom comes back? What if Gavin Newsom comes back and wins the election? Is that going to be proof that liberal centrist Dems are dead? What if we get? What if Newsom not only wins? What if he wins 2 terms? Like, oh my god! So, dude, thank you, Hedonic Samuel, for the 10. Gonna be a busy boy for the next couple of hours. Have a good weekend, y'all. If you have a gal, buy her flowers and make her feel special tomorrow. Absolutely. Thank you, Hedonic. I appreciate the chip. So, like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. I understand it's a slower day because I picked to do mind maps and I picked some slop content, running out the clock for Valor Reacts. But also, I think a lot of people are live right now, so no, I'm not offended by the slightly lower viewership than usual, just because a lot of people are live. We didn't pick the spiciest topic. I didn't go for the metrics today. I was more going for the content than the metrics. But what I would say is, dude, you understand we're all getting older, right? Like, do you understand how old we're getting? I'm 38 right now. Okay, so if I'm 38. And Newsom is going to win 2 years from now, that means that I'll be 40 during the first Newsom presidency beginning. I'll be 44 by the time he's done. I'll be 48 by the time he's getting done with his second term. So I'll be almost 50 when the Gavin aristocracy is ending. He'll be my white Obama. And then at that point, James Tamarico might be up. So, what happens if James Tamarico wins as a centrist Dem? Although I guess he does do a lot of Bernie Sanders posting. So, dude, so Hasan Piker is going to be a 40-year-old bitching and moaning and crying, because I think Hasan Piker's around my age. I think he's only a couple of years younger. So Hasan Piker will be in his middle 40s, still LARPing about being a Marxist-Leninist revolutionary sales funnel, and saying that the Democratic Party is over while we're in the middle of a Gavin Newsom presidency. Patriarch says Shapiro is better than Newsom. Fight me. Shapiro's Jewish. And by the way, that's not an insult to my Jews. That's just like a statement that Democrats need to run a candidate who doesn't have that yeah, but thing. You know what I'm saying? Like with Pete Buttigieg, it's like, yeah, he's a great candidate. Very smart, technocratically competent, intelligent, good looking, rhetorically gifted. He's short and he's gay. Okay. So that's going to be a hurt. Mark Kelly, as much as I love Mark Kelly's perfect. Mark Kelly's perfect in my book. So he's a formal naval aviator. He's a NASA astronaut. He has a strong voting record to anti-gun because his wife is Giffords or whatever. So that's like a butt thing. You know what I'm saying? So, oh, okay then. Not like I'm upset or anything. Sorry to my Jews. But for my Jews, I would say, I would say though, it's like it's not that Shapiro isn't a strong candidate. It's not that, well, John Ossoff. We looked up John Ossoff the other day. John Ossoff is also Jewish. He's handsome. He's handsome. He's articulate. He came up with like good punchy lines, all that kind of stuff. But you don't want a member of the public to have that subconscious or conscious bigotry where they don't check the box. And so for me, you guys have kind of consistently snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. You just need to run a white, straight male with kids. Okay? So it's just got to be a white, straight male with kids, preferably Christian or agnostic. Because if you run a Jew, there's going to be people who stay home. If you run a Muslim, there's going to be people who stay home. If you run, and that's probably partially because of Israel-Palestine, right? There's going to be Israel. If it's a woman, forget about it, and that's not because Kamala wouldn't have been better than Trump. Kamala clearly would have been better than Trump. But whatever votes you lost because of either conscious or subconscious sexism, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. You need to run a nice, boring, clean, demographically appealing, handsome person. So preferably a white straight male who is at least aesthetically Christian, you know? Randy Chang says, I can't see the DNC running a white male anytime soon. Are you crazy? They're almost exclusively talking about running Gavin Newsom. Like a lot. Yeah, he should have a huge dong. Correct, you Nork. Preferably well endowed. Yes. All the women, like Gavin Newsom, I think he cheated on his first wife and then he married his mistress. Okay. We need to have his first wife saying, like, listen, not a huge fan of the cheating thing, but we had a really good relationship in some aspects. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, yeah, like that's the kind of thing that you want where it's like, yeah, he's a lying scumbag who cheated on me, but, you know, we had some fun before then. Huge wink. So, yeah, yeah, Gavin's in Hunter 2028. I hate you. I hate you. No, I think it needs to be Gavin. Okay. And if it's not Gavin, I think it needs to be Mark Kelly. And if it's Josh Shapiro or James Tamarico or at least James Tamarico is white, but he's too progressive. He's too lefty in my book. So Josh Shapiro is Jewish. John Ossoff is Jewish. James Tamarico is too progressive. He's too Bernie bro. Although he's like the perfect candidate because he's white, but he's a pastor, but he has Obama's pattern of speech and he has Bernie's platform. So I actually think I think James Tamarico would kill in the primary. I don't know how he's going to do in the general, right? Like kind of worried about it. So Tamarico or Talarico or whatever his name is, I think he's a liability in the general. And then Gavin Newsom, if he actually got abundance moving in California, then I think it's going to be Gavin. Yeah, white Obama. Exactly. White Obama with Bernie Sanders platform. And then Kamala Harris, woman. Okay. I hate to say it. I know I got women and trans women in my audience. I understand that you don't want to hear it. You want to hear, no. Women are just as capable. I agree. But I think that there's conscious and subconscious sexism. And as a result, there will be people who stay home because they don't want to vote for a woman, either consciously or subconsciously. It's not worth the risk. You need to run it straight up the middle. Okay. Randy Chang says, I don't see how anyone who spent any time in California in the last 10 years could vote for Gavin Newsom. You say that. Are you in California, Randy Chang? Because with my experience with San Diego, I lived in San Diego for 2 years. Okay. It's just like a physically beautiful place. And the people were beautiful. And there was plenty of economic opportunity. Now, it was so expensive that it was very difficult to live there. But it was still like a really cool place to live. So all the homeless encampments in like downtown LA, don't go to downtown LA. I mean, it's actually that simple. There's plenty of really bad places in California. Don't go to the bad places. Tricky Parrot says, Connor, in California, we just did a little abundance thing where they increased the maximum housing height so you can build within 1 mile of transit stops. Cool. Unork says Trump's feminine behavior makes me agree. Run a masculine man. None of this whiny Twitter, late night, backstabby, time of the month, emotional politics. There you go. So anyways, a lot of Californians don't hate the people who stay in California don't hate California. The people who left California hate California. So you say debatably Josh Shapiro is the whitest of the many white Obamas. I understand. But once again, Jewish liability. And by the way, it's number one, it's a liability because he's not the dominant religion. Number two, it's a liability because of Israel-Palestine. But because if he's not Giga Zionist, then you lose the Zionists. And let's be real, the Zionists do have a lot of clout, money, power, attention, and the ability to fuck you over in an election. And then if you're not voting or if you're not sufficiently Palestinian, pro-Palestinian, yeah, people who left California, Texans. True. Not it's just obvious. You just said one of the truest things that's ever been said on Counterpoints. But the But then, yeah, then if he's not sufficiently Palestinian, then the fucking Muslims stay home. And you need the Muslims for Minneapolis. So, yeah. All right. Anyways.
Lost an election. It's ironic because they probably have said the same thing after 2016. After 2016, because their way is dead because Hillary lost. Like, it's always just this thing. It's like, yeah, liberal democracy is done. It's time for...
Except for Biden won, and everybody forgets that, including Destiny.
This is why I think these people don't actually care if Trump wins. I think they actually like it a little bit, because to them, otherwise, how could they say this? How could they say liberalism is dead if it were not for Trump winning? How could they say that? They couldn't do that. That's why I think they like it. They're like closet fucking accelerationists. Panicism content. And also, again, if Harris...
Patriots has added profound thought. Does the average voter know that Shapiro is actually Jewish? Probably not. But I think enough people do, because Ben Shapiro is a huge Jewish commentator in the Western world who's known for being Jewish. And not just that, Shapiro is a surname that's just presumed to be Jewish. And so as a result of that association, I think the identity would be highlighted by the Democrats. They would be like, the first Jewish president. But then the first Jewish president is going to have Israel-Palestine as an albatross around his neck. And once again, in the Democratic Party, you need to have a balance that does not make Israel-Palestine the centerpiece of the narrative. Because if it's the centerpiece of the narrative, if you're insufficiently pro-Israel, you're fucked. If you're insufficiently pro-Palestinian, you're fucked. So if you get a white Christian straight male, you don't even have to talk about Israel-Palestine. People would be like, how do you feel about Israel-Palestine? You could be like, you know what? We support Israel's right to exist, but we must have dignity for the Palestinian people. End of conversation. Right? It's actually that easy.
Why the fuck would Democrats think they need to listen to Hasan? Why would any of them?
AOC MTG
doing personal news. Fuck it. There is no personal news to be had. I worked out this morning and I'm fucking angry. Okay. I'm also working on going to Cuba.
Cuba, yeah. That's a cornerstone issue for the American working class.
I said last month, and I'm saying it this month, that we need to start treating leftists like Hasan Piker and his followers the same way we treat their MAGA counterparts. Centrists would rather lose every election than stop punching left, and you wonder why we hate you. You hoes have been enabling evil.
Lose every election. Democrats have... So what? Even when they lose, like Hillary still won the popular vote over Trump, okay? Trump barely wins the popular vote against Harris. Before that...
Grasser says that is Josh Shapiro's opinion, by the way. What? Israel has a right to exist, but we must have dignity for the Palestinian people. I mean, I think that's like the perfect centrist position. But I think once again, what's going to happen is the pro-Palestinian side is saying, well, what does dignity mean? That's not enough. From the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. You must take the side of the Palestinians. And then I think the Israelis and the Zionists are going to be like, if we don't hear enough pro-Zionist propaganda, then we're not going to give you as much money for the general election as you want us to. You know, so then he will be pressured by both sides to make a choice, because it will become a highlight of his campaign, not because he wants it to be, but because he's Jewish in the Israel-Palestine conflict, particularly with October 7, 2023, and particularly with the, let's call it the conflict in Gaza. The conflict in Gaza, it's going to be highlighted by the mainstream media because it's a spicy topic in reference to the identity of a presidential candidate. So, Patriarch says those people are arslers and don't exist outside of Twitter. I'm telling you, our mainstream media would bite down on that because it would be juicy and it would keep eyeballs on their screens.
So what, like Clinton destroys the elections, Obama destroys the elections, Biden defeated Trump in 2020. What do you mean? Like, when has a communist ever won the election in America? When? What, FDR? What, when a bunch of when his Congress was full of fucking Democrat segregationists? Like, you have to go that far back. And FDR wasn't even a communist. When have you guys won? The fuck?
Well, since Reagan. Okay, dude.
Oh shit! Why did people keep catching that guy?
Fuck Dearborn. All my homies hate Dearborn. Your mom is a hoe. Your opinion has no value. Read the GIF. You're an idiot. Exactly. Hey man, real quick, who ran as a third-party candidate in New York City mayoral race? The Dem endorsed candidate or the Hasan endorsed one?
They're going to be crowing about that for a long time. I don't know if Lonerbox is going to address it. I'll address it. Zoran Mandami won because of a split vote. You had who is it? The black guy? Forget his name. The guy who was accused of corruption that MAGA wanted to work with because they were going to forgive his corruption case as long as he worked with them on mass deportations. Is it Eric Adams? So you had Eric Adams, who was viewed as a centrist because he was working with the MAGA administration for mass deportations, so he would be forgiven for his corruption. Then you had the right winger who was like, what was he? What guardian angel? He was like a guardian angel guy who had been like shot by the Italian mob. And he had like random schizo political theories that actually made him like a conspiracy theorist, but I actually thought he was funny. Then you had Cuomo. Yeah, you had Cuomo. So you had a Republican who's a New York Republican, but he's a Republican. Then you have Cuomo, who is a centrist. So you basically had the right wing split, and you had the liberals split between three candidates before you even had the far left candidate emerge. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Silva. Yeah, whatever his name was. Yeah. So in order for a progressive socialist who effectively is proposing social democratic policies, not actual socialism, but social democratic policies, and he's already moderating, and since he's moderating, people are cannibalizing him already. In order for him to win in New York, you had to have a four-way split field where three people split the moderate vote. Silva, the cat guy? Sacred Snow says, if Lefty ever tries to take a victory lap over Zoran, just frame it as the candidate that denounced Hasan won. Yeah, that pissed them off for sure. Yeah. Zoran Mamdani had to publicly disavow Hasan Piker over his 9/11 comments. Classic. Yeah. So once again, I think Erin Strader Age, she did this a little bit where she was like, she thought that like Zoran Mamdani's electoral victory was a bellwether of the Democratic Party shifting leftward, and Hasan Piker being like, who won in New York again? Who was it? The socialist? Yeah. Okay.
More context of what you actually said than the clip that's.
Horse God. Bring back Chris Christie and the corpse of Dianne Feinstein, and let's get this country back on track.
Enthusiastically crawl through 10 feet of concrete for all of the marginalized people.
Do you feel like the Democrats know that, and that's why they get away with their ineptitude?
100%.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
so 100%. I'm like, I don't even entertain that stuff, especially this far out from an election. But even in the primary season, that's immediately the conversation is like, well, whoever is the candidate, you're going to vote for them, right? And you know what's really indecent about that too? They never return the favor for left flank candidates. Because no one ever made hay about Bernie Sanders potentially becoming the candidate, and all of the articles that came out about how Trump might be more preferable to Bernie Sanders. Because they were writing those, liberals were writing those articles talking about how, the head of Goldman Sachs, who was like, I'm a lifetime Democratic Party voter. I think, Donald Trump is better than Bernie.
Just trying to get a one guy in here. Alex C says, you're so cooked, lol, keep sweeping, chum boy. Can you be like more specific, Alex C? Can you say what I'm cooked on? I could yell at you real quick before we leave for Valor Reacts.
I know. Would enthusiastically crawl through 10 feet of concrete for all of the marginalized people.
Do you feel like the Democrats know that, and that's why? Wasn't this bound a paywall as well? No, this is on I've Had It. We went on I've Had It, and Jen asked me this question.
Bro, the Twitter replies are so good. I almost missed the Elon Levy picture. People, is this you? But it might. Weren't you also outed as a pedo or something like that? Bro. Weren't you also outed as a pedo or something? And it's always the same. It's like people who retweet fucking Vigland, and it's so pathetic, man. It's also, there's nothing new about it. I just wonder why they always tend towards doing that. Like smearing your opponent. I know it's been a thing since like the fucking French Revolution or whatever for like left-wing like revolutionaries and extremists. Like they love smearing their opponents, but it's, how is everyone a fucking pedophile in your world? What the fuck?
Aw, Loner. Well, Loner gave us some drama slop. Thank you, Lonerbox. I'm going to DM Loner at some point in order to go do a combo with them as well. We'll fight about something, I'm sure. So I'll find something that I can fight Lonerbox on, and then we'll also I'll bring up the fact that he's a horse-killing, whale-killing piece of garbage. You know, why does he keep drowning horses in order to go whaling? That's not ecologically conservative. That's not ecologically sustainable. It's not an ecologically sustainable practice to drown a horse every time you jump into the ocean to stab whales to death so you can harvest their blubber. It's pretty fucked up, actually. So what I would say is we'll be back in Dan says he's gonna be ready in 15 minutes. So we're probably gonna be ready at 1:10. If you want to go to if you want to watch a Special Forces veteran and a Marine Pogue veteran break down the excellent war film Black Hawk Down, then you need to go to Twitch. You need to type in Counterpoints, common spelling, COUNTERPOINTS. You need to follow that channel, and then we'll be live in like 15 minutes or so in order to watch that. And yeah, that's a game plan for the rest of the day. So kind of a chill day. I think we peaked out around 80 or something. We did get a dozen super chats. I knew I was going to take an algorithmic hit because I didn't pursue like the most horse timber 7th. No way. Horse timber 7th. Can you guys remind me? When I go talk to Lonerbox? Can you guys just start typing horse timber 7th into chat? That way I can accuse Lonerbox of engaging in a terrorist attack against horses. Fucking horse timber 7. Oh my god. Yes, that is brilliant. So we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna thank the people who donated real quick. Larry Hutchinson was our MVP today. Thank you for carrying the stream, Larry Hutchinson. But Hedonic Samuel with the 10, Larry Hutchinson with the 10, Larry with the 5, Sean with the 5, Hedonic Samuel with the 10, Larry with the 5, Grid with the 20, Fell Runner with the 5, Larry with the 10, Larry with the 5, Sean with the 5, and Grassroots with the 10. Thank you, kings and queens. Alishness says, no, I'm late. Well, you can go over to Counterpoints, Alishness, if you want. Go over to Twitch. Go over to Counterpoints. We will be watching Black Hawk Down and breaking it down between me and a Special Forces veteran named Dan Pace. However, you can just watch it. And then Samson with the 5 says, save the horses. And then alternatively, you could just watch the VOD if you want. No problem. Yeah, part 372 of our Black Hawk Down analysis. I know, we're pause Andy's. We watch 10 seconds of the video and then we pause Andy it, but it's good content. So Black Hawk Down, where? All right, we'll be there in 15 minutes. Dan says he needs until approximately 1:10. I'm gonna go eat some pizza. I got some leftover pizza, so I'm gonna go jam that down my gullet, and then I'll be back for the stream. So I parasocially love you. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. Thank you for your viewership. Thank you for financial support. I'll see you guys in a minute. Bye.